Easiest SMITE of my life, I'll add, right there during that that break. And we'll move on to our third and final set of the day here in the SMITE Pro League, day number 2 of week number 2 of season number 10, or season number X, depending on how you want to look at it.
Season of Hope.
Yeah, season of, well, okay, all right. Myth is already just, he's in my head, and unfortunately, I'm joined by Myth on the desk one more time for the day here today. Some expectations may be broken up to this point. The Leviathans, a loss streak broken, and just the look on your face. You know you've got me today, and I hate it. And Myth, we've already had some good ones today. We got one more good one to close out the day with. However, the teams behind us, the Hounds, the Camelot Kings. It'll be our final match of today, but don't you worry. We've got 3 more best of 3s tomorrow. The Hounds right back at it against the Gilded Gladiators. Could be, must-win territory for both of these two teams. If the Kings end up winning, the Hounds remain winless, and the Glads are winless. That matchup, really, really important, I think, for the mental of both of the squads, if that's how it breaks down. Oni Warriors, Jade Dragons in the middle, and the 6 Ferrymen, Highland Ravens, will end our weekend. So, Myth, to start the day, we already lost 1 win streak, and it's the Ravens who lose. The Jade Dragons improve themselves to 2-1 with a 2-1 set win over the Highland Ravens. So now the widest margins are the Camelot Kings, who are 3-0, and the Oni Warriors, who are 3-0.
And I think there is a clear favorite in this matchup. The Eldritch Hounds, the most rookie team in the league, have been struggling a bit in their sets so far up against the reigning world champions, the Camelot Kings. Feels like, though, if anyone could do it in the Order Division, maybe it's the Eldritch Hounds who've got the earliest game style of play. Back when it was Camelot Kings supremacy, the Jade Dragons were occasionally able to bring it to them through that early just onslaught. Yeah. If someone's going to do it, maybe it's the Hounds.
That's right, because the Camelot Kings, no strangers to pushing their games to the limit. As we mentioned on the cast, kind of 30-minute average mark, a little bit over. It's enhanced Fire Giant and then game end is what we've been seeing in a lot of our games here this weekend. The Eldritch Hounds, not a team that is a stranger to having opportunities to end games yet here in Season 10 of the SMITE Pro League. They have gotten themselves lead. They've had opportunities to close out games, and it's a team that has been built around great aggression from Oathhh. I think Oathhh, a very talented jungler, and has opportunities to continue to grow and look great here in this league. BennyQ has started to feel a bit more consistent, and so talented. VaporishCoast and Quig, that duo lane, they've got some growth opportunity and potential there as well. But let's talk about what I just brought up, Myth. This Eldritch Hounds team, they've almost gotten it done a few times. They have had the opportunities to win games, but sieges have felt very difficult for this team.
Yeah, I mean, they've had a multitude of opportunities to approach enemy Phoenixes. It's actually broaching them where they seem to struggle. I think it's got something to do with perhaps just target selection in these objectives. It feels like Ducky, for the most part, is always diving that back line and then is forced to retreat back in. I wonder what exactly they've changed up as they come into this week to start addressing some of these issues, because even in this set up against the Oni Warriors, I believe it was 4 back-to-back defenses around their Phoenix that inevitably and eventually do lead to the Oni Warriors taking that set. But the Eldritch Hounds have just really struggled at closing out these games. I'd argue they've done the best, the hardest part, right? Which is getting to this opportunity, building the lead, actually getting in towards that Titan room. Very difficult. So if they could just close out that very last portion of the game, that should be it. Maybe it's got something to do with compositions. We know for a fact that Hell support has really struggled on Siege. Just not having that standard initiator makes it a bit more difficult. But they've got to rectify something. And up against the Camelot Kings, they demand excellence. They will absolutely drag a game to 90 minutes if they have to take the win. And they will stop you on your Siege every single time if you're not bringing the absolute best that you can. So if the Oni Warriors are capable of getting to that point, power to them. Doing it against the Kings, though, probably pretty hard as well.
So again, for the Eldritch Hounds, we know you can get there. You can get 3 Phoenixes down, right? Try a full 5-man siege on left. They try a full 5-man siege on right. They try to diversify things. Just doesn't work out in that game. So it should be a team that's moving forward with some confidence, knowing that they can get to that point, closing out the game. The next big step that this Eldritch Hounds team has to take. And to help them get there, I'm sure head coach Chuck has been helping them along the way. He's also standing by with J-Mac for the pregame.
Yeah, thank you so much. I do have Choke Cut Chuck, coach for the Eldritch Hounds. Got to get my wording there for a moment. But, Chuck, do you echo some of the sentiments that are at least there from the casters, from the desk, you know, kind of sieging maybe being one of the bigger issues that your team has been struggling with so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously, you know, something we got to work on. I think a lot of the issues just come down, like they look so bad. Oh, okay, now you're doing faces, Mifflin. All right. All right, very cool. I mean, I think a lot of it just comes down to, like, getting a bit too excited, like, in those really key moments, you see.
Right.
Yeah, so, like, I've been thrown off.
Just kind of reel the team back in. And kind of speaking of your team, you know, I saw a post go up by Quig. You know, what was the secret to beating the Camelot Kings? I don't know if you got a chance to review that there, but what were some of your thoughts on maybe at least what I think was the chatbot kind of gave on some advice to take them down?
I mean, you know, the Kings are a very squishy team, as the chatbot said. They're,
right.
You know,
of course.
We've got some ideas. I think, you know, the Kings are obviously a very, you know, established team, perhaps the most established right now. So you can't, like, we've got a work cut out for us. But I'm confident that we can, you know, get a little business in there.
Yeah, of course. Chuck, one final question for you. Going up against the Kings, you know, reigning world champs, we got to see what they've been able to do over the course of the last phase of Season 9, now moving into 10. Seems as their gameplay style hasn't changed much. Does that make it maybe a little bit easier for you with your team to be able to try and maybe dismantle this team? For reference, Miff is giving a nice little laugh over to the side.
Guy. What is he cooking?
He's a character. He's cooking something, but
he's snoozing.
I don't know what's going on.
Honk me.
Mifflin, man, you got a good laugh going out of Mifflin. It takes a bit to break Mifflin like that.
I think it was a team effort here.
You got some intimidation going towards him. Now we got Dave Brook too. This whole thing has gone through. Chuck, do you have any final words maybe for the fans, maybe for your teammates, anybody out there?
I'm just excited to get out there and give it our all.
Well, I hope you can give it out your all out there, Chuck. Thanks for stopping by for the pregame interview. I'll let you get back with the team. We'll go back to the desk. You can hopefully ring this back in.
Bro, I don't even know what happened.
I just thought it was just a funny situation, man.
What happened?
It's just the whole, I mean, the choke cut really got me.
It was, we started on our cast, and we were talking about vintage stuff, and you got my brain all scrambled.
Oh.
Woo! All right. Well, you quickly got in Chuck's head.
Oh, sorry to the Hounds.
Yeah, apologize publicly now.
That's on me. It won't happen again.
Please. I can't. I physically can't do it. The Eldritch Hounds, according to their coach, you know, they're confident that they've got something cooking here today that can, you know, take the game to the Camelot Kings. But we have talked about how difficult of a task that really is, because the Camelot Kings, if they're a team where it feels like if they get a sense of we're falling a bit behind, they're a team that can really slam the brakes and say, okay, we're pushing this game, you know, another 15, 20 minutes. It is a team that is good at slowly building up leads, but also completely stalling games if they don't feel like it's in an advantageous spot.
Yeah, but I've actually gone back and watched the last couple of the Kings matches, and I feel like I've been pushing this narrative of, you know, it's macro game. They're controlling neutral farm. I've been keeping track of it. For the most part, they're getting maybe 60% of the neutral. It's been a lot of pressure in lane where the Camelot Kings have established their leads, forcing these waves into towers, controlling the laning phase, generally playing through pressure, especially in the mid lane when BigManTingz is on Marty. I mean, it is just different. I don't know how anyone's going to farm up against that, the amount of pressure that god brings to this team. So I think maybe disingenuous to say that the Camelot Kings are still that, you know, single-minded, single-focused, slow-it-down style of team when they have a bit diversified their style. Certainly still capable of taking the games a bit long or dancing around objectives, but I think I'd be doing them a discredit to not bring up that they really have been stepping up that pressure game as well.
No, I agree. And look, the Leviathans who did start to spin up a bit yesterday and in previous matches that we've seen them play, you know, they fell short to the Kings the last time, or when we saw those two teams match up. I don't know. I was about to start going to Leviathan stuff on accident. Clearly my brain is all over the place. My point is it was a very difficult-looking opponent in the Leviathans that the Kings were able to deal with. in the last matchup that we saw them play. And there's a variety of play styles to your own point. And I think a lot of that can revolve around the mid laner, BigManTingz, who has been very flexible. Marty has been an option for him. Baba Yaga has been there for him as well. And so you look at some of the mid laners in the league that play the physical ability-based hunters. You look at mid laners who are playing the mages, and it feels like BMT is able to be really flexible for his team depending on how they want to play.
Yeah, I would say that BMT really has almost strayed away from the standard meta, right? Like, when we talk about mid laners right now, or even we talk to other roles in the game, they say mages are really strong. And it's hard to argue against that. They are incredibly powerful, but BMT maybe a little bit more so than some of these other mid laners in the league right now is still willing to play the hunters. He's played the Marty twice in his last 6, the Neath as well. So half of his last 6 games have been on ADCs, has been leaning a little bit more in towards those ability-based hunters and finding a bit of value there. Could be it's because the Camelot Kings really like the potential to move in towards objectives, and a double hunter draft is just very good at a play style like that. But I think you're right to bring up BMT as a major contention point going forward, and it seems the Hounds paid attention to that last set as well. The Marty taken off the table immediately.
Alongside the Vimana, the Ishtar, the Hell, banned away by the Camelot Kings. I like the hammer touch in their team booth, by the way. I think it's going to be a thing. What if they don't win Masters?
They're still world champions.
Yeah, but do you lose the hammer after they've been beaten in a tournament?
No.
You keep it there all year long?
Yeah, no, they are the world champions.
All right, it's a world's thing. It's a world's thing. Hounds taking away some utility as well. Horus has just been banned pretty heavily by just about everyone in the league. 50% ban rate, but the pick rate's been pretty high up there as well. I think Twig has also had a bit of a resurgence this year. Played a bit more active with the rest of his team. Vimana has really brought a lot of that. He's played a good bit of it. 2-3 and 3-3 seems to be the KDA number on the Vimana, though, because it's been either 2-3 or 3-3 in the 3 games that we've seen it. Little Ratatoskr, little Hunbats, little Hebo sprinkled in there as well. And those last few still options for the Camelot Kings jungler. You would think jungle ban with Thor, and when Oathhh is on a team, you should be thinking that. However, Ducky also really enjoys Thor solo. And so it could be a 1-2 punch of a ban by the Camelot Kings. Hercules still open. Hercules has been a very popular first pick. And Ducky has been an important condition for this team and finding opportunities to get wins.
Yeah, it seems like Hercules, Horus, Cern, and Guan are the 4 picks that generally a lot of the teams like to go towards in that first slot. With both Ishtar and Marty taken off the table, feels like Cern is just a league above the next up in that Hunter tab. So it will be the Cern for the Eldritch Hounds on the other side. Gives over 1/2 of the duo lane for them. Good deal of AoE damage as well as strong initiation tools with that Wild Hunt. But what do you leave available taking the Cern? With that Hunter being locked in, what's on the other side for the Camelot Kings? And it's 2 incredibly powerful picks. Junglers have got Hebo towards the top of their list, so could be Hebo slated for CaptainTwig. BMT certainly capable of playing it as well. But it's that Hercules, I think, that is more significant of the 2. Herc's win rate just absolutely ridiculous right now. So strong. We saw what FineOK was able to do with that vintage coat performance in that last match. I loved it.
We are on something today. We are on one.
Yeah, we're on hour 8.
We are. We got, in all likelihood, a couple hours to go.
At least 7. My bad.
What's that?
It's hour 7.
That's right. Math is difficult. You've been doing so much percentage work today that the simple stuff will trip you up.
You're overheating me.
And I apologize for that. Hebo plus Yemoja for the Camelot Kings. So talk about annoying to play against. Hercules, Hebo, Yemoja is about as annoying of a top 3 as I can think of in the current meta. Unfortunately, that's what the Hounds are going to have to deal with. However, Serqet Myth has been giving me a lot of confidence recently. It feels like every single time, win or loss, the jungler is at least doing good things. And if it's Oathhh who's playing it, gets a little boost in my mind.
Yeah, 6-4 in his last performance on the Serqet up against the Oni Warriors. That was a loss, but it was, I think, hard to leave at the feet of Oathhh. He was really getting active on map and has some decent matchups here once more. The Yemoja, of course, going to struggle a little bit in sustain, but more so, I think it's that Hercules, that burst of healing after he takes a fight, I think. The main thing that keeps Hercules alive throughout the majority of his engagements. So Serqet, so long as she times the ultimate properly, can deny 100% of that And one of the primary weaknesses of Serqet is when you decide to use that ultimate, it locks you down in place, makes it pretty easy for damage to follow up to come your way. You ult the Hercules, maybe you got a crushing wave on your head. Simply not the case. If Aphrodite's there, that Undying Love can keep things very safe, or even just the protection shared might make things a little bit easier to execute on. So that dive potential of Serqet only further enhanced by having Aphrodite around.
If you want safety and the ability to farm up in lane, you can get that with Izanami. So Izanami plus Yemoja, you're figuring you've got to have a decent time in lane, able to push out those waves. Going against a Cern and an Aphrodite, though, be sustain on either side of that lane. Anti-heal, important. Eldritch Hounds should, or will, build some of that into their composition as well. Guan Yu makes his way into the ban column. That's often been one of the earlier picks out of the solo lane.
I will illuminate this battlefield.
Amaterasu left open. Are we going to run back the BennyQ Atlas? That's the question. That's what the hover would indicate.
He won't do it.
I don't know, though. I mean, it didn't look terrible. It wasn't a win, right? But 2-2 and 5. I feel like I remember that game, Benny having some good damage numbers. Let me see if I can find that. Yeah, 26k damage that game. Benny did on Atlas at 2-2 and 5. And that was top in the game.
He'll do it.
And he's going to run it back one more time.
But it's really difficult to channel the pull on Atlas when a Hercules is on the other side, when a Yemoja is on the other side. That stun potential from range, I think, really going to make it difficult to find the full value of that. Sure, you could play off Astrolabe, and that's generally what Mage Atlas does, but high execution up against a composition that's got really strong dive, and you're locking it into a Yemoja, so you're stuck in those River's Rebukes pretty consistently. The Riptides as well, going to be very disruptive. Maybe looks good with the Aphrodite. Does shift up who you are likely sticking to in some of these late game team fights. Now, maybe more often onto that Atlas than the Serqet herself, and allow Serqet to play more so that solo agent style. But I'm not all in on the Atlas just yet. Just hasn't looked consistent for my liking. I know a lot of the other coaches in the league and some of the pro players say, look, if that Atlas won, we talk about how smart he is,
yeah,
how strong it was, but it hasn't won just yet. Simply has only done the damage. And now against the Camelot Kings, the reigning world champions, undefeated, with their concise, consistent play, untouched, unscathed. How are you going to do it?
Don't know. Now you got an Agni to work through as well. It's something that BMT played against the Styx Ferryman in a Game 1 win. A lot of space control, Myth, it feels like, from the Kings. Not only with an Agni, but Yemoja provides a lot of it. Hercules as well. Burst damage maybe later in the game. What phase of the game is the most obvious for the Eldritch Hounds in your mind?
It's hard to say. I'm not wholly familiar with Atlas's power curve. Feels like he needs maybe the same two items that the majority of other mages do before he's hit his stride. But the late game team fight with such an unorthodox composition is hard to lock down. Maybe mid game you could play through, but I'm thinking about how objectives are going to go for the Eldritch Hounds, and those are going to be hard to secure and hard to burn. What portion of the game is this draft built for? It's certainly a pick-based composition. I can give you that. So
thank you.
They can play for picks on map, try and catch the less mobile targets, the Camelot Kings. Serqet, uniquely suited for that style of play. But as far as when this team wants to group up, play as 5, up against what the Camelot Kings have brought, maybe it's got to be early to mid-game, just so you're not playing into a full-scaled Agni or a fully scaled-out Hebo. I would say the first 20 minutes, very important for the Eldritch Hounds.
And that's an area where the Eldritch Hounds have been able to find success. This is a team, like a lot of the other teams that qualify into the SPL, have been able to scrap. They can find individual kills. It's can you group? Can you turn those early kills, early leads into objectives, and then turn those into Phoenixes, and then turn those into game wins? That's been the issue for the Eldritch Hounds. On the flip side, it's been anything but the issue for the Camelot Kings, a team that's been there, done that, and quite effective. But as Myth has already yelled at me for, it's a team that has diversified some of their win conditions outside of just grouping up and fighting a bit later on in the game. However, Myth, I'll ask the same question about the Kings. Is this a composition that is slated to group up and fight later on in the game?
I think so, yes. I mean, it is very good at that portion of the game. You've got the Agni to burn those beads without really putting himself in danger. The Hercules, the exact same thing. We know what Genetics is capable of doing on this Yemoja, and then just the scaling of the carries in the Camelot Kings is incredibly strong.
It's the Eldritch Hounds searching for their first win in the SPL, and the Camelot Kings hoping to avoid it this year. We'll find out what happens in game number 1.
That's right, it's the Eldritch Hounds, the Camelot Kings, our final set on this lovely Saturday in week 2 of the SPL. It's J-Mac, Trelly, and Doug here to bring the action for that second game. And BennyQ going back on the Atlas. We saw this just last week, Trelly. Didn't find a win. Found some decent damage during the team fights. Actually ended up pretty high up on the damage charts amongst the team and the lobby. Just didn't quite find the win the Eldritch Hounds are looking for. How do you kind of feel about the Atlas with the composition the Hounds have built around it?
I'm personally never a fan of the Atlas mid, but BennyQ has made it work in the past, and I think that's sort of the conversation. Even the games they lose, it's not the Atlas's fault. Benny usually does some good damage. It's an unorthodox pick that not everyone's used to facing, and because of that, it can be annoying. My issue has always been how easy it is to poke out Atlas from a distance. You don't really have to commit into his damage, and how his ultimate feels relatively useless if you don't get that massive value from it. But it's something Benny keeps going back to, and I'm guessing that's just because he feels confident in it. He knows he can stay relatively safe. Harder to kill early, you know, whereas an Agni or a Hebo, you know, they have to watch out for the damage. You have natural Guardian bulk at level 1 and 2, so you don't really have to worry about cringe ganks too much. And that's kind of the reason that I think BennyQ likes going towards this pick. You get to be a little bit tankier and still threatening damage-wise as the game continues. You can sort of be another setup tool for your team. If he gets a massive pull, which Benny has been known to hit in the past, this Atlas pick can certainly find value here. And given the composition, they've got plenty of setup for it. Oathhh, Ducky, Quig, they all have the ability to really facilitate a pick like this.
Well, at least the phase of the game that the desk highlights for the Eldritch Hounds is early game. First 15, 20 minutes needs to be a portion where they really take off, because we've seen what happens if the Camelot Kings are taking to 30, 35, even 40 minutes of play. That's always seemed to be their forte on the side of Camelot Kings, is wait for that late game team fight, get that scaling, get those items online, and then be prepped up for that team fight. So maybe some early picks for the Eldritch Hounds. Could start in mid if Oathhh can find a way to find one of those Cobra's Kisses, but CaptainTwig and BMT sitting so far back at the tower line, not stepping up to give Oathhh an inch.
Interestingly enough, something that I've noticed whenever I am playing the new Vampiric Shroud start in mid is that you never run out of mana. And I'm guessing CaptainTwig made that same realization, because he's actually started the Vampiric Shroud. No jungle starter here for the Hebo. Recognizes that the Bumpa Spear is going to give you much less value late game, level 20, than a Vampiric Shroud would, a Sacrificial Shroud that is. And I think that's going to help with your MP5, as well as just be a much better option at level 20 to upgrade this Hebo's damage. Assuming, of course, that you get to that point, which the Camelot Kings usually do. They're even when they're winning, they're usually getting to that level 20 point. And if you're losing, this is a competition the Eldritch Hounds have that the desk already highlighted is going to struggle a bit around objectives. I mean, you've got Ducky on the Amaterasu. That passive will help, but it's going to be you're missing a bit of burn. You're missing a bit of that confirmation that Atlas just can't quite provide. So you're hoping that you got ward vision down and no one can walk up. You have to worry about Jarcorrr, you know, stealthing in, something like that. There's a lot of options here for the Camelot Kings to be annoying towards those objectives. So pretty fair bet, I would say, that you're making it to level 20.
Well, Oathhh dines the taunt onto CaptainTwig. Deathbane's good after. A few more autos are needed. A jump on top, just juked out by Twig, and that gives him enough time to blink away, staying out of combat for those few seconds. But that's now initiation taken off the board for CaptainTwig. Gonna be about 2 more minutes before he can try and get active. And now, Ducky and Oathhh are gonna push up towards the blue buff. A fight for this one. Dive in by Oathhh. Needs that taunt if he wants to get the pull back in, but it's a blue buff invade and successful steal for the Eldritch Hounds.
Yeah, Ducky gets the blue buff, but Variety still hits level 5 first. Comparatively to a level 3 Serqet, I thought maybe Variety wanted to step up and just try and steal away the blue buff with that boulder. Decides against it. So unfortunately for Variety, I lose a little bit of pressure, at least in that lane. And it was actually BennyQ who picked up the green buff. Didn't really care for his red, or didn't have the option for it, just decided to pick it up. Was able to steal it away at the very least from the invade attempt. That means he's going to be missing a little bit of damage, but drops the Gamma Ray Burst to try and help get the Bastions and also put some pressure onto BigManTingz. This Agni, I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. He feels so bad until level 5. Like, as an Agni player, you don't want to be anywhere near. You don't want to be anywhere near the enemy until level 5 because your Flame Wave starts from you. So if you're going to hit the archers, you have to be in the wave, which is never fun when you're up against an Atlas. You're getting poked out. That Conduit gem proc, you're probably getting hit every single time BennyQ has his 1-up. It's going to take a bit for BigManTingz to be able to clear the wave effectively and not get poked out while doing so.
Now, Charlie, as far as solo is concerned, we've been seeing a lot of ability-based solo, a couple of Guardians kind of coming back. We saw some Artio, some Cthulhu, but mostly Hercules, some Vamana thrown in there, which I guess not necessarily ability, but clears very easily with abilities. Guan Yu kind of thrown in that. What's your take maybe on Amaterasu? Because we haven't really seen her in a little while. Haven't really seen much of the more auto-centric style of solo laners kind of up in the meta as of recent. What's your take on this Amaterasu from the Hounds?
My take on the Ama is Ducky needed something that can sort of go relatively even with Herc in lane, not lose too hard, and then still bring, you know, late game CC as well as objective pressure to the team. And Ama does that quite well. I don't think it's a pick that's going to dominate lane. As you can see, Ducky's probably going to be spending a lot of time right here underneath this tower, but teamfight phase is always when Ama's able to come online, where she can, you know, force out the relics on a CaptainTwig, be really annoying towards the backline mages. It's just going to be, you're forfeiting a bit of pressure actually in lane, because Hercules is just one of the best lane bullies in meta that we have in the game in general. I mean, Hercules is just super annoying to try and lane up against because of the way his passive works.
You hit him and he gets to turn around and hit you a little bit harder. Plus all the CC, it's just so annoying to deal with him in general. Taunt by Oathhh on genetics, but not much follow-up beyond there. As CaptainTwig is headed his way over to the left side of the map. We'll give a little bit of help to Jarcorrr to clear out his purple buff. It's just been slightly better farm by CaptainTwig so far in this early game, and just in general for the Camelot Kings. A small, about 700 or so gold lead up for the Kings this early in the game. XP not too harsh just yet, only sitting around that 1K. But it's just been this gold, the neutral gold. What I gotta imagine is these cooldown buffs, these shield buffs, been going the way of the Kings just a little more often than the Hounds.
That's what they like to do. They like to bleed you out, start at the beginning of the game, take a little bit more neutral farm than you expect, a little bit more contested farm than you expect. Then it built themselves a buffer zone. Even if the Eldritch Hounds decide to get active, even if Oathhh finds a massive first blood kill, something like that, the Camelot Kings are still ahead because of that farming they've done early on. They just know how to play the map so effectively. CaptainTwig, I would be willing to bet that if Twig doesn't have to fight, he will not throw out an ability until, you know, at least level 15. Like, he wants to just farm the map. He does not need to find those early ganks. Oathhh is on this Serqet pick, which I think Hebo actually has a pretty good time into. It takes a bit. Of course, Serqet is just going to bully you on early. She's going to immune your knockup with Deathbane. She's going to stun you out, try and pull beats, try and force out defensive crushing waves, all that. Late game, however, Serqet has a really rough time actually closing gap towards a Hebo. And if you just wait for that ultimate and just go for your own crushing wave after, you're going to guarantee to chunk that Serqet. So Quig just wants to fast forward to level 20. And if he doesn't have to fight in the meantime, he's not going to.
Now, Oathhh starting up some action against genetics. CaptainTwig jumps in, Riptide, keeps him from jumping immediately on top of Oathhh or the rest of the Hounds. And the Camelot Kings are able to bail each other out of maybe a difficult situation for a moment. Taking a look at Quig, if we get a moment to, maybe after this gank, double taunt in on Yark and CaptainTwig. The damage between Oathhh and Quig is insane. And the Eldritch Hounds, they put themselves on the board early.
They certainly do. That was beautiful CC chain. So much damage comes through. And Oathhh is able to grab that first blood we were talking about. Still means that the Camelot Kings have built up that lead for themselves, so they didn't really have to worry about farm-wise, but giving Serqet off to that great start means itemization's going to come a bit easier. CaptainTwig's going to have even rougher time just, you know, walking around the map, having to worry about where Oathhh is at any given moment. And Quig is already online as well. This Aphrodite is a pick that has been very highly banned, haven't seen it played too much, and when it is played, hasn't been played to such great effect. It's all about that ultimate, and in this case, Quig used it just to make sure that kill goes through. But late game, you have a Serqet that's ahead, kiss to an Aphrodite. Quig and Oathhh can make some big plays. It really just depends on that itemization.
Now, Quig went for a start that we haven't really seen in a while. Really, we were only seeing it for Soul Landers for a bit, which was the Tier 1 earring pickup. Now, do you think that Quig would be privy to maybe finishing this item at some point, or do you think this is just when he got for the MP5, you sell it later, don't worry about it?
It's just it's one of the cheapest items in the game, besides like consumables, and it gives you MP5. As an Aphrodite, you're spamming your heal. You want that extra MP5. Gauntlet of Thebes is not going to provide enough. You're not going to get any value from that. So you just grab a Tier 1 earring. You end up selling it once you actually get some itemization online that helps you keep your mana up. But no, this is just a smart pickup by Quig. If he's going to keep slamming those birds on cooldown, he wants to make sure he's not running out of mana. Especially as a support Afro, you're not building into, mage items come with that natural MP5. Support items, you got to choose wisely.
You got to work for it.
Yeah, you got to get a Genji's Guard or something online, which is not something that Quig wants early on. But Tier 1 earring provides everything he could want.
So, Eldritch Hounds, with their first blood, at least shore up some of the lead that the Camelot Kings had established just through natural farm. I'm ready for that one big springboard to jump into action between these two teams. Oathhh is already able to find on the left side. At least get a little bit of aggression, find a nice double taunt up against CaptainTwig and Jarcorrr. Able to turn to a first blood for the Hounds, but Ducky all the way back at the Phoenix. That took me back for a moment. I'm like, wait, where is Ducky standing? He's between Tier 2 and Phoenix, but no one to punish him, so.
He knows Twig doesn't want to fight.
Yeah, Camelot Kings, I mean, this is a team that's built themselves around. I mean, you got a Hercules, Yemoja, Habwa. Like, this team wants to go late, so for the Eldritch Hounds to kind of maybe catapult themselves forward to try and establish that lead. If you're Oathhh at this point, where maybe you sit to try and soak up some of those kills.
I'm not doing anything about Oathhh. I'm waiting for Ducky to make that exact play again. Take a look at his relic. Already has fully upgraded teleport. Seems easy enough. Say, Ducky, hey, go clear that wave, teleport in, wait for an aggressive positioning like this, and then come on over.
Genetics tries to get through the River's Rebuke, and a Riptide does do so, and that will be the end of the fight for the Eldritch Hounds. The Camelot Kings support saves his own life. Quick activation of that ultimate keeps the Eldritch Hounds from being able to push any further in. Shield buff is good, but now the turn and burn onto BennyQ. Ultimate still gets clipped by it, does Benny. He's still alive for a moment, but does go down to Jarcorrr at the end. And he cannot fire that burst ultimate himself. Now Oathhh just narrowly jukes out the bomb. Dropped down by BMT. The 4-stack of the Camelot Kings comes in full force.
Ducky teleports in, though. He's got the rotation. It looks like Genetics is going to be the call. This Yemoja is the sacrificial. Look at the rest of the Kings. They're like, let's get out of here quick. No reason to try and help him. It was not going to happen. You got to pay attention to those relics. Ducky upgrades that teleport so early on. It was obvious a rotation was coming through, and now Variety's over and right. Easy gold for your attempt. Can CaptainTwig go in for a steal? BigManTingz also has a rotation.
Bombs are available for BigManTingz. Gold Fury is not going down particularly fast. Bomb just off the mark. Eldritch Hounds get the Fury. Big MT has to use the beats to get away from BennyQ. Slowed down by the Astrolabe. The Hounds are closing in, and BMT is not fast enough to escape. The Hounds grab themselves a second kill in the fight and an extra Fury on top, while Variety decides to spend his time taking out a Tier 1 tower on the right side.
Yep, throws the boulder, make sure to clear one more wave, push it under. And that's just the way the Camelot Kings like to play. I mean, you might think that was terrible and that was a massive loss. The goal has not changed much. It's just the way they play the map. Unfortunately, you lose BigManTingz, you lose his beads, and that is going to hurt. But CaptainTwig is able to pull ahead. I'm assuming Variety is relatively even after a play like that. And again, it's level 20, 25 plus. That's what the Kings play for. That's what they always have played for. They know their team fight can really flourish once they group around objectives. So in doing so, I want to see the Eldritch Hounds make that same style play soon onto the Pyromancer. I don't want them sitting back. You cannot let yourself get to this late game portion against the Camelot Kings where their team fight, they're just so confident in it. And it's actually the Kings who are making the pull onto the Pyromancer.
Star Pyro Coast is being dealt with by Jarcorrr on the opposite side of the map, but now a group up of the Hounds around Pyro. They don't have the best way to get into the fight, to pick up on Variety to push him away, but it's also the knockback from Quig. River's Rebuke opens up a path for the Kings to get back in, but close the door onto BennyQ and Ducky, who's going to get away. Bomb drops through. Variety pulled back by the Serqet on the rub through another Riptide. Variety cannot catch a break on the CC, but is able to get out with the help of Genetics. And the Eldritch Hounds, they clip the Fire Giant, but not going to stick to it. Instead, it's right back to the Pyro for the Hounds.
Yeah, right back to the Pyro is the call. Jarcorrr, remember, pushed out Coast. Coast said, all right, I'm just going to go help my team. I'm going to go all the way over and get that Pyromancer, which means Yark's going to be able to take the purple buff, take the tier 1 over on Let, and push another wave. And have we not seen this before? An objective goes down.
The tower on the opposite
side. Yeah, a tower
side.
goes down. The Kings are able to steal a buff, push a wave under, and end up much better off than the enemy team. That's what we just witnessed. And that goalie hasn't changed.
Oh no, Ducky. No tier 1 tower to save you this time, but minion wave.
No gnarly.
Yeah, not as gnarly as one Hebrew might hope. VaporishCoast nearly caught out. But Genetics not able to land that stun, so Coast able to dash away at this point. I mean, the Hounds have taken, Charlie, both a Gold Fury and a Pyromancer.
Ooh.
But they've lost both their towers. The Hounds are leading in kills, but they're 2,000 gold down. Charlie, what is happening right now? Oh, CaptainTwig, he's being canked in the jungle. Ultimate from Oathhh. One more auto. Couple more shots ought to be enough. Oathhh will get a 4th kill. 2nd on CaptainTwig. The Eldritch Hounds, I mean, even despite the objectives that they're winning out, the kills that they're getting, they're just not matching the farm of the Kings.
It's because they're choosing inopportune times to rotate. I mean, Coast gets poked out and then leaves, whereas Jarcorrr is able to push 2 waves under and steal a purple buff. If you clear the wave and then go, that wave doesn't have to die to tower and you're not in a bad spot. Same thing with Variety. He was able to match that farm that Ducky had when he teleported away, and it starts to add up. But at this point, you're right. The Eldritch Hounds are still confident in their fight, which is good. Finding out CaptainTwig in the jungle is always going to be a solid play. Crushing Wave was down. Was not able to ult away defensively. That's going to help out. But Variety's level 16 on this Hercules, stepping up just to see what he can find. Ducky's only 15, trying to match that pace. I think that the big issue at the moment is the fact that CaptainTwig is falling a bit behind. Everyone else on the Camelot Kings actually has a level lead, except for Twig. So it's just the Hebo is trying to find some nice farm. Primal Fury is up, though, and the Camelot Kings are grouped as 5. Are they going to go for the pull is the question, or are they just baiting in a fight?
Quick push back by Variety. 2nd bomb now from the mid laner. Boulder toes through, taps all 3. BennyQ gets a pick up on a Variety, but a fast dash out will keep BennyQ from getting pulled back by the Riptides of Genetics. But that sets up perfectly for the Camelot Kings to go for an objective, while the Hounds will decide to bully Variety a little bit. He'll go down, kill for VaporishCoast, but
Fire.
Objective, Primal Fury for the Eldritch Hounds, and Fire Giant, I'm sorry, Primal for the Kings, and Fire started by the Hounds, but maybe recognizing that Oathhh and Quig can't stick around, they go for the pick instead. BMT use the beads, and a river
Beautiful
will
ult.
separate everything. CaptainTwig walks in to get some damage, but it's going to be another kill, this time onto Genetics. Killing spree for VaporishCoast. The Hounds have baited the Kings in.
That was a beautiful River's Rebuke. I thought there was going to be some fight back. Oh,
whoa.
What are you doing? I guess he just
Dying.
thought he was going to stop some backs and look for more aggressive plays, but still some big burst damage. All the while, the Camelot Kings, they're not afraid to fight if they have to. And that's going to be a shutdown. Well, not a shutdown. He's only 2-0, but still. An end to the possible killing spree there for Oathhh. That's going to help out. BigManTingz is going to push even further ahead of BennyQ in the mid lane. And back to farming we go. Pyromancer not quite up just yet. ADCs are over in left lane, as you would expect for the time being, but the question now becomes, is Coast going to go right? He's not heading left. And look, that's another wave he's going to be missing on the left side of the map. Jarcorrr cleared that wave and is now going towards Pyro. VaporishCoast did not clear that wave. These are the little things that you can change about your gameplay, J-Mac, that really start to add up.
Me directly.
Not you in particular.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let's say,
I'm
man,
just,
you're calling me out,
I'm
man.
just talking about everyone on the Camelot Kings is a level ahead. And that starts to add up. Some too. It's because you're leaving these waves on the table, but you got to make those kind of plays to make sure the Pyromancer doesn't get snuck before you show up.
Pyro started by the Kings, pick up onto Ducky, push has to be beads away by the Ama. Now the Camelot Kings have a target that Variety can try and step up and grab. Pyromancer keeps getting pulled and immediately leashed back by the Kings. A couple of bombs to try and go for the commitment. The Pyromancer does get taken by the Kings. Ducky goes in with ultimate, but Doesn't find a stun onto anybody. Ult from Coast off the market as well. It's BennyQ trying to pull people back. Variety stuck in the middle of 3, but he's now pushed one back into his squad instead. Quig has no escape path out because the boulder is too clean from Variety. The Camelot Kings get Pyro. They get 1 and maybe more had there been some extra follow-up from BMT stun.
Still surging forward is Variety. Not going to find too much. That should be the end of the chase, you would think. And it will be. That tier 1 tower is looking mighty appetizing, though, for the Camelot Kings as Variety hides in the jungle, trying to find a pull. That wave should be cleared out by BennyQ, but enough damage for the tier 1 tower at the very least to drop down. And that should be all of the pushing the Camelot Kings have in store. They have won that fight at the Pyromancer, and they have continued pushing their gold lead ever further, despite the fact that they've only found 3 kills. And now the Eldritch Hounds are looking for something, possibly some damage onto Variety, unless, I was going to say, unless Oathhh gets ult back up. No way this Hercules falls down anytime soon. But I've been liking the scrapping for both of these teams. The Eldritch Hounds are not rolling over despite, losing out farm-wise. They've been stepping up. They've been trying to get aggressive, maybe a little too aggressive in Quig that last play, but they still have avenues to try and fight, and they are grouping up towards Fire Giant. But once again, it's a bait. They're looking to find someone to step up.
CaptainTwig from range is finding these multi-man knockups time and time again. Variety, seen this song and dance before. 3 people rushing at me. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and bail away so I don't get dogpiled on yet again. Will clear out his wave, tries to go for the pickup on Benny, misses. Benny pulls back Genetics for just a brief second, but the Camelot Kings alive and healthy under their tier 1 tower. No threat of the Hounds going that direction. Twice now, Charlie, we've seen the Hounds maybe not necessarily put threat on the Fire Giant, but threaten the area just enough that the Camelot Kings step forward, but hasn't net the Hounds too much, mostly just keeping themselves in this game, keeping their head above water against the Kings.
Yeah, just trying to see what they can find. They have opportunities to find some pulls from BennyQ or Oathhh, some good CC. And so, attempting the Fire Giant, seeing what they can find, not going to find much. Gold Fury has now spawned back in. That is where the majority of the Hounds are heading. Ducky's still over and right, but remember, he's got that upgraded teleport. He can join whenever. And actually, a fully upgraded Sunder for Variety. Tanks are going to have to watch out here. If Ducky or Quig, or I guess even BennyQ at this point, get pulled back in, that Sunder is going to come through. Not only can do some big damage, you can also make sure that you just absolutely shred through these tankier targets. The Eldritch Hounds wanted to go for that Fury. They were thinking about it, but they saw the posturing of the Camelot Kings. Hey, we put 3 members over on the left side of the map. How come you guys aren't over here? Is there something bigger and more valuable that you guys could be looking at when we're on the Gold Fury? The answer is definitely yes, and that's where the Camelot Kings are headed. Jarcorr's heading back to base, though. Because of that, no way they go for a Fire Giant pull. They went there easy to get that Deathbringer online, which is just purchased up. Don't think there's enough for Envenom Deathbringer, but that's enough for Power Spike to really up your DPS. I mean, you can see Coast. He's going full shred. No crit in that build. That just means that a lot more damage is coming the way of Jarcorrr.
Coast definitely aiming to fight a few more of the frontliners than anything else with the style of build that he has gone for. Yark should win out on the 1v1 trades just by nature of having that crit if there managed to be a Yark v Coast 1v1, though at this stage of the game, highly unlikely. So now it's the Camelot Kings pulling Fire Giant. Benny picked up, Benny pushed back, tries to go for the grab on Variety, but it's immuned out by the Excavate immediately afterwards. A couple of big hits now towards BennyQ from Variety. He's going to force Quig to attach himself to BennyQ with that kiss, make sure that he can heal his mid laner back up. Variety's not done, though. He's still going to stand up at the front line and essentially beg the Hounds to step forward.
Yep, walk up, try it. See if I miss again. I didn't miss last time. Probably won't be as the game continues. VaporishCoast is here, ready to dish out some good damage as that Fire Giant begins. Pull off the mark. FG's about half HP. Twig has the best confirmation on the map, but not wanting to 50-50. The Camelot Kings are going to reset for the time being and collect some more farm. Beautiful pickup. Gets the ultimate down. Variety didn't even driving strike. And that's going to be a big immunity down. That should be enough for the Camelot Kings to try the pull again. And just like CaptainTwig, burst this objective for free.
Maybe a slight miscommunication there. Ducky had the silence on the ground ready to go. He even used it to stop Variety, so the ultimate now gone for Quig. Fire Giant started again by the Camelot Kings. Who will step in on the side of the Hounds to steal it away? BennyQ's got the range to do it. Drops it at the floor.
What?
Does take it away. The Atlas damage. The full damage Atlas ult. 327 damage from the shot fired. And BennyQ steals away Fury, or sorry, Fire for the Hounds.
Yeah, that crushing wave, I guess just a little bit too early there from CaptainTwig. He went for it. I even saw the River's Rebuke that only captured in Ducky. It looked about as calculated as it can be, but just a little bit too early and beautiful ult there from BennyQ. The Eldritch Hounds take fire. They're able to grab that Fury. The Camelot Kings at the very least take the tier 2 over on right and are heading back to defend. They don't want any of these towers to go down. They're still confident in their team fight. And they don't want to lose any free gold. They don't want to leave any free gold on the table, I should say. If it's able to be defended, they're going to go for it. And that is the call. Variety surges forward. The Eldritch Hounds are going to run on back to base. Going to contest underneath the tier 2. Not feeling that risky just yet.
Now tier 1 started for Oathhh, but he can't stick around. The entirety of the Camelot Kings will chase him out. Ducky holding on to a lot of gold in pocket. So once he can go back and spend that up, he should have enough for at least a full item at this point. He does indeed. Spectral armor to deal with a crit from Jarcorrr. And that'll slow down some of the DPS the Camelot Kings Hunter is able to do. So now with the composition that the Eldritch Hounds have, Charlie, I mean, with first Fire Giant, probably just tier 1 towers, maybe a tier 2 at this point. Don't imagine we see the Hounds go for anything beyond that, maybe even just beyond tier 1s. With how slow the pacing is of this steal. Felt like that was just a get it off the board away from the Camelot Kings, slow them down, and give us an extra breath in this game.
Unfortunately, that is the call. Jarcorrr and Variety are going to group up and take this tier 2 over on left. The Eldritch Hounds are going to push up finally, and I think they should be able to. They shouldn't be too afraid here. With the lead they've accumulated for themselves. Of course, down in gold a bit. Should be for much longer. They have Fire Giant, though. It's not like they are out of this game. They can step forward. They are allowed to fight. Given the situation, it just seems they don't want to overstep. They don't want to overcommit with this first Fire Giant. It's only 25 minutes in, meaning that, you know, getting towers down is a good start. Tier 1 and tier 2. But the Camelot Kings are defending even the tier 1 here, J-Mac. They feel so strong that they win this fight.
BennyQ
oh my
damage
goodness.
through, but it's a massive pickup by Variety.
What?
The damage is just too much, and Genetics will run forward with the rest of the team. Oathhh tries to distract to the back line. Benny picked up, and Oathhh out. But CaptainTwig is right back in. It's BMT to grab the double, the punish from Variety and BMT. Just from the Hounds stepping forward. Now there's nothing the Hounds can do to defend. Quig sundered, pulled back. It's Ducky to try and bail him out. Finds a stun on CaptainTwig, dashes in, needs a couple more autos. Ducky can't get the last couple that he needs, though. And now it's a regrouping by the Hounds under tier 2, but there's 5 Kings running forward.
I mean, Variety and Genetics are just not missing. This Phoenix is beginning to get sieged here. Quig is sticking around, just trying to give some CC, but it does not have the HP. And despite losing Fire Giant, is going to end up taking both tier 2s, all 3 actually, and then getting a Phoenix. While they didn't have FG. Doesn't make sense.
I can't make it make sense, Trelly.
I mean, they just grouped up confidently. Variety just kept dishing back more members of the Hounds. And, of course, the double Riptide there from Genetics, followed with the bombs from BMT. They were... Coast was dead before he hit the ground.
Coast gets yanked back, and a couple of bombs from BMT. The water cannon as well from CaptainTwig, all set up by Variety to start that fight off. That is rare that we see confidence from a team like the Camelot Kings to defend at tier 1. They didn't even necessarily defend the tower. They just all grouped up there because they knew that they could force a fight, and they sure did. And they sure won that fight as well. But now the Camelot Kings, with the Phoenix taken down in mid up against the Hounds, have at least a little bit of extra push to try and keep these Hounds back. Ultimate by Oathhh. It's on top of Genetics. That's going to be down for some time, but Genetics is going to be able to resustain from this.
Yep, Genetics has the heal. Variety is by himself. A 1v5 essentially, because why not? Who's going to step up to him? Nobody. The Camelot Kings are just trying to heal up Genetics. He's going to get some more sustain, use the rest of his Omi, and then siege forward and try and find another pickup. This time it's Ducky, but BennyQ has the coverage. I'm thinking once Genetics gets some more Omi back, it's going to be pull into Riptide, into pull. Rivers Rebuke start the fight. CaptainTwig, though, he's also stepping up.
Variety again, tries to go for the pickup, gets pulled back by Benny. Shell used very early in the fight. That's their only way out of the Rivers Rebuke, and Quig used it while Genetics still has ult available. Now the Hounds, they're going for an awkward flank. Now with the Rivers there's nothing BennyQ can do. He's stuck inside, and everybody else watching from the outer walls. The Eldritch Hounds funneled themselves forward and now are being picked apart by the Camelot Kings. It's 2 for the Kings. Eldritch Hounds, 50 seconds until both are back up.
They got to go back for Fire Giant, right? Okay, I was going to say, the Camelot Kings are feeling good. They're feeling confident, but pushing down mid 5v3 seems a bit risky. Fire Giant, EFG is what they want to stall for, so they're not going to step up yet. Spawns in about 40 seconds, so in the meantime, go for right side Phoenix. That seems to be the call. Variety is already here. He's going to sit by the corner, wait to see who's going to go for a pull. But look at this. You can tell the Hounds think they're on FG. They're not on FG. They're going in for your Phoenix. You can channel your backs now. Too little, too late. And this Phoenix is going to drop down. And they'll have plenty of time to go back for the enhanced Fire Giant as well. BennyQ steps up way too far. You highlighted it. The Phantom Shell is down. You know, you can't walk into the Rivers Rebuke there without that option. And once you get one kill, W key, and the Camelot Kings are able to run down Quig as well. Enhanced Fire Giant should be dropping here shortly, but Ducky and Oathhh want to go for a steal.
This is a chance. Oathhh goes in. Camelot Kings get fire. Benny late on the ultimate, but early on the escape to get out. Eldritch Hounds unable to take that one away. It's a crushing wave by CaptainTwig to secure the fire this time around. So enhanced fire for all 5 of the Camelot Kings. Variety cannot catch a break. Every single time we pan to Variety, he's got 2 to 3 players either already on top of him or chasing him out. And he'll be able to get back to base, regroup with the team, spend up some gold. And now, Charlie, we move towards sieges. We saw kind of a failed siege attempt by the Hounds at the tier 1, or I should say maybe a fight after, but the Hounds with only one healthy Phoenix, I should say, left to defend. How does that defense look for the Hounds against this Kings draft?
It's not going to be easy. They've got good lane clear and can keep minions out, but BennyQ dies relatively easy. It's going to come down to one Rivers Rebuke. It's going to be a Riptide into a Rivers Rebuke. That's going to be the end of the siege. Variety, I think, is in very little danger here, but is going to eat some good damage. Oh, man, the rest of the Hounds are here? I thought it was just 3. Everyone is here now. The Camelot Kings just left Variety on his own. BennyQ is going to beat Aegis, and now the Camelot Kings are sieging forward. They want to take this fight.
Genetics ult down. Meanwhile, Ducky 2v1. Oathhh standing by. The Camelot Kings, they lose out on Variety. If not for the ultimate from Oathhh, there may have been just enough healing to get him back. But all that anti-heal, 100% true anti-heal, stops him in place. And the Eldritch Hounds pick off the solo laner. Poor Variety, the real lamb for his team, the one who's always going to be going down in situations like this. But Camelot Kings, I mean, they got 20 seconds. No upgraded teleport from Variety. What are they cooking up against the Eldritch Hounds? I think both of them are trying to go for a flank maneuver. They think they both spotted each other out, and now it comes down to the commit of the start.
Let's see. I mean, the Eldritch Hounds, they want this fight, but the Camelot Kings, I didn't see any retreating. They were stepping forward. Oathhh jumps in, finds the beads off of BigManTingz, and here comes the flank from BennyQ. Not going to find much.
Doesn't get anybody. Good wild hunt from Coast. Ultimate from Benny. Thrown on onto the floor. It's shields from Genetics. Gonna mute out most of the damage, but now VaporishCoast in danger. Boulder's gotta be Aegis away. Coast lives through, but not Oathhh. He is stuck in the middle of 5 because Variety has rejoined the fray. That teleport upgraded, brought right back, and Quig will be chased out. No way that support can make it back to base. Charlie, I think the Camelot Kings can just walk in here and take themselves another Phoenix.
Looks like that's the call. At least one bird. Ducky and BennyQ are here with the defense, though.
Oh, no.
And I lied. BennyQ is not there for the defense. He is gone.
He got hit by Bomb, Calamitous, Rod of Tahuti, Bomb 2, down. Ducky, ults, won't stun anybody this time through. It's 3 alive for the Eldritch Hounds with the
Quig
Camelot
is still
Kings.
spacing Quig.
We'll make sure to keep Quig out and take yet another bird off the table.
And now finally, grouping towards the end call, it is just Coast and Ducky. The HP is not looking too good, but they've got plenty of damage and another pull from Variety.
Quig finally made it back to the base, but unfortunately for them, that means that all the Camelot Kings have shown up in full force, and the Camelot Kings, 33 minutes to get it done. They take care of the Hounds in game 1.
What an odd end to that game. Again, it starts from the Hounds stealing a Fire Giant and then getting nothing off it. They lose their tier 2 towers. They lose a Phoenix off of that play. Then the enhanced Fire Giant comes through. They find the pick onto Variety, but the Camelot Kings, instead of retreating when they lose their solo enter, go, let's just fight. You know, let's just step up towards this left side bird. Variety ends up teleporting back in because it takes so long for that wraparound play. And then, of course, once it's another 5v5 into EFG, Kings are feeling good.
Good early scrapping, at least by the Eldritch Hounds. Able to take the fight to the Camelot Kings, delay things, steal a Fire Giant away. Make it a little bit harder for the Camelot Kings to get that win, but Camelot King showing up in true form. You get him to the late game, you get him a little bit ahead, and you get to that team fight stage.
Yep.
The Camelot Kings look just as strong as they have for the last, year now at least.
And it gets a little tiring to say it, but no matter how many times
just that good.
you see the kills early on, the Kings were always up in gold. They're like, hey, we don't have to rotate to that. We're still ahead. Who cares? Let the pyro go down. Let the gold go down.
And you know, they're always the ones that say, like, we don't like being down in goal. You know, we don't like being that team that goes to the late game, but it wins us games, and it 1-1 here in game number 1. And Camelot Kings up 1-0 to start this set. We got game number 2 coming around right after this break.
It almost seems inevitable with the Camelot Kings at this point. You're able to take game 1 over the Eldritch Hounds, and it happens in an all too familiar way for the Eldritch Hounds. They're getting kills, but those kills are not turning into objectives, my goodness, and those objectives are all going to the Camelot Kings. And so I think maybe the Eldritch Hounds need a bit of focus, and our friends over at Advanced GG can supply that. And you can put some of this focus formula inside a brand new E-shell shaker, an ice shaker. And I'll tell you what, as a guy who takes a lot of energy supplements, Advanced GG is as good as it gets, and these shaker bottles also as good as it gets. And you can use code SMITE for 10% off. Let me run you through just a flavor or two here. Maybe the Eldritch Hound's interested in it. Oh my God, I don't want to mispronounce this. This might be
What a worthless Get the camera off me. I'm going to do this
lychee?
like
Is that how you
awkward
pronounce it?
scoot thing.
Lychee? Is it lychee?
Lychee.
Is it lychee? Okay,
Yeah.
so that's why I was nervous.
No, you're probably tripped up right here where it says splash. That's
Yeah.
splash, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
What does that taste like? Do you know what that flavor is?
Yeah, it tastes like a lychee.
Right, what is a lychee flavor?
It's like a light fruit, sweet.
It's like a lychee.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Sweet Slammin' Grape, much more obvious. It blends really well with the Camelot Kings, as well as sour green apple. And I thought
What if I
that
open it?
is what this was when I sniffed it the other day. Wait, no, I mean I smelled it the other day, not. And this is melon cream pop. So plenty of flavor options with focus, and our friends over at Advanced GG use code SMITE for 10% off. Oh, Myth is going in.
Hold on. They child-proofed it. Give me a second. Get the camera off me.
All right. I'll start talking about this game while Myth is. No, you got it.
Oh, I'm making a mess.
Well, for the low price of 10% off. Oh my, Mifflin, that is a nope.
That's good.
Nope.
That's good.
Nope. We're moving on. Camelot Kings take game number 1.
What? Yeah, it
Over.
tastes like lychee.
I'm sure it does, Miff. They take game number 1 over the Eldritch Hounds. Thank you. And they're able to do it, Miff, in traditional Camelot Kings fashion, where it feels like they're getting out scrapped a bit, but the scrapping that they are doing is better trading out objectives, and ultimately the Eldritch Hounds just couldn't keep up.
Yeah, this is a pretty standard game, I think, for the Eldritch Hounds in that they're able to find those kills early on. It's just turning it into something where they struggle. And I think it's got a lot to do with this Atlas pick. The damage output, certainly there. Kill potential, kill secure, objective burn, certainly not there. That's where that Atlas pick tends to struggle. So in that situation, I just think, especially with a composition built around an Aphrodite Serqet, you'd want something that could follow up a bit more easily with more securable damage. Atlas maybe not exactly that, but otherwise it's the Camelot Kings who never fall behind in spite of being down maybe 6-1, 6-2 at certain points. I don't even know anymore. Is it macro? Is it pushing waves in a tower? Is it controlling objectives? Is it that they're just worth less gold to kill than any other team in the league? Whatever it is. The Camelot Kings have certainly figured something else out that nobody else has.
Well, it seems like what they've got figured out is, okay, we're going to die 7 times in the early game. But in the meantime, what the other 4 players on the map are doing is simply just going to be more valuable, right? And I guess that's what? Is that your micro shot calling, your macro shot calling? I'm not a good enough player to really dive into the difference. The point is when the Camelot Kings are losing team members, they are doing something somewhere on the map that's making up for it. And it's just more, it ends up being more valuable than the death that they lose. Coast had a really nice start to this game going as well. That one's got to be frustrating for him. Rattled together a few kills right off the rip, but ultimately gets slowed down. Agreed. I think it's got to be frustrating to go up against the Kings at this point. And we're at risk of this same talking point starting to build up for this Hounds team. They're really good at fighting early. They're really good at finding kills early. But, well, next time we go to a different screen, I'll do it. Actually, these ice shakers have a nice grippy bottom too. That's
yeah. I was trying to slide it,
You
but
can't.
it was really catching the table here.
Also child-proof are the ice shaker bottles. But again, I'm honestly at risk here of falling into the trappings of what we've done in the past, where it's like when we talk about the Hounds, we kind of have to talk about how they're good at finding early kills, but not necessarily turning that into objectives and end game wins. Maybe some team comp changes will remedy that for game number 2 against the Camelot Kings. The Atlas pick, Myth, it was certainly unique. Goes 1-4 in this game. Didn't quite top the damage charts in the same way the last Atlas pick at least did for BennyQ. And so that's maybe a bit of a different look. It's funny because BennyQ has interlaced his substandard picks with some standard picks. He just hasn't consistently leaned into the mages or the physical AD carries. It's mage, oh, that's normal, and then an Atlas, and then an Agni, and then back to an Atlas. And so it's a team that's trying to find some form in the lack of standard out of their mid.
Yeah, I wonder, because BennyQ has gone through distinct phases in his career as well. On the Valkyries, there was that stint where it was only weird picks. Couldn't buy a mage selection from Benny, and then it felt like a 6-month period where it was Merlin, Tiamat, and nothing else. Now he's trying to rein it in, but still introduce a bit of entropy to the picks and bans. We'll see whether or not it's the unorthodox or the orthodox that wins out between the two wolves in BennyQ's heart in Game 2 up against the Camelot Kings.
Not hear me?
Well, they all got wolves. Everybody has 2 wolves in them. Mine snore differently.
Okay.
Like one goes honk shoe, and the other one's like more of a me snore.
That advanced GG's gotten you a little wired up, huh?
that caffeine was hitting.
The energy is just hitting a bit differently as we approach the 6 o'clock Eastern time here hour. The Eldritch Hounds and the Camelot Kings may need to shake some up themselves. However, the Camelot Kings, I'm sure, feeling A-OK after game number 1. Hercules yet again. A 63% win rate, Myth, across 16 games. And an 86% pick ban rate. Anything over 50 at the SPL level feels good. 63% across that many games makes a trend.
Yeah, I'm thinking Hercules might just be one of the most valuable picks in the game right now. I mean, it feels almost unnecessary to break down what it brings to a team considering how often we've had to do it, but I'll do it once more. It's non-committal initiation. It's an unkillable nature. It's a CC immune ultimate, and it's high pressure in the laning phase for the Camelot Kings and likely variety out of the soul lane.
You know what? I want you to do that for every single pick that gets locked in. Tell me about Cern a bit.
It's high single target damage, decent self-heal potential. He's got that cripple that really makes it difficult for the mobile gods to lock him down. Yeah. If he's playing peel, the pull into punch combo might not land nearly as often for the Hercules.
Nice.
But it's that AoE CC from the Wild Hunt from Cern.
How about the Serqet?
That is high pick potential and high mobility out of the jungle. We're not going to do it every time. We're
only through 3, and you're going to get a breather before we get the next picks locked in.
CC immune ultimate as well, but it's the 100% anti-heal as well as the true damage from that ultimate, the last breath, that really makes her a versatile jungler. Could go in towards that full damage roll, which seems to be more popular right now with crit inherent to the kit, as well as with crit being strong in itemization. But I think into the Hercules, I think you're likely really looking towards that ultimate and could potentially go down that defensive route. If
Unlucky.
So
you took too long. They caught up to you. What do you have to tell me about Chernobog?
He's got global presence, CC, and he's an auto attack hunter.
Gotcha. There you go. With high single target damage and high attack speed. And here's what I think about Terra. High area damage and high sustain, Myth, but I think you got some more info for me.
Damage mitigation, I think, probably the strength of Terra. Its protections in the monolith. I believe 30 both ways, physical and magical, when that ability is maxed out, and then 10% damage mitigation when you've channeled that Earthen Fury. So any one of her allies nearby now becomes a tank. It's similar to Aphrodite in that regard, except AoE, but a little bit more limited in the time that it's effective.
This is good. Now bans roll in, but you still have to do knocks.
You don't mean it.
No, I do. You're losing your breather time.
High single target CC.
That's right.
As well as damage disruption from the ultimate. Silence as well means that Magi's is really hard to utilize. Anyone on the Camelot Kings that decides to pick up that item will have it popped immediately. But the weaknesses is in support. Takes a little while to get that defense out.
There you go. And now you can take a breather. I'll take the bans from here, Myth. Don't you worry. Merlin gets banned out. Agni also banned out. Mid lane centric from the Eldritch Hounds. Look, BigManTingz, we mentioned it at the top of the death segment. So hard to pick ban against because he has just played too many gods and too many different team comps with too many different styles for the Camelot Kings. Agni, Marty, Baba, Agni, Hebo. I'm sure he can play it. Merlin, he absolutely can play it.
Well, you got the mage tab open over there? What are you doing?
I'm looking at his last played gods, and then the ones that get banned out. I'm sure the Discordia is somewhere in the back pocket.
Did you talk about the Marty yet?
I mentioned Marty.
Okay,
yes,
good.
the second thing
That's
I mentioned.
big.
Get ready because the bans are done and you're about to have to dive right back in. So, the Eldritch Hounds, are they going to stick with standard or substandard? I think Ducky was happy about that pick. Couldn't quite read
Yeah,
the...
that visor is carrying his poker face right now. The
That's
hat
right.
it's hard to see
I'm
through.
going to assume that's a Thor for Ducky based on what's been locked in.
Yeah, I think so.
And
You
what does
don't
Thor
want
bring?
Serqet out of solo, and Wrong U's not in this game, so you don't want Serqet out of support. So Thor solo, I think, makes pretty good sense here. Having not seen the mid laner for the Camelot Kings, this should allow BMT the option to pick a safer god if he so chooses, worried about that global rotation presence from Thor, as well as the high single target damage and scaling with enemies nearby.
Good job.
Yeah.
See, you're learning that if you speed it up a little bit, you get a little downtime before you have to go again. It also helps when the teams aren't slamming their picks instantly.
Yeah, it's so hard for me to Google these gods while they're locking them in.
Who is Ratatoskr?
I just keep getting this God of War game popping up. I can't find them.
Ratatoskr plus Janus, Myth's semi-global presence across the board for the Camelot Kings, and a team that loves to play across the map. Nothing might be more terrifying than an AD carry,
Don't
a
like
jungler, and a mid laner that can all suddenly be in every lane all at once, and then a mid laner that can also teleport your other characters across the map with a bit more ease.
And
Teleport's the wrong word. Provide them a moving walkway across the map a little bit quicker.
The god of portals and transitions, I think, probably
There
does
you go.
teleport his allies a fair deal. It's the movement speed, it's the high mobility of Janus. Almost operates like an additional assassin for your team. A mid laner that you could trust to be a solo agent at that. I was concerned about that op
You're
wash
trying to sell
login.
me legal services? A mid laner you can trust?
That's right. And it's my money, and I want it now.
Wrong industry, but we'll give you the break on this one.
Better call Saul.
Now look, God. Now Janus has not. When did we see it? We saw Janus for
We've
the
seen Janus
Leviathans.
a lot more than I thought.
I think it was for the Leviathans last time the Kings played them, and Shinto played it. Now granted, Shinto wasn't here in studio. Largely got shut down by the Kings, 2-2-6 in that game. It's always the potential, an S tier god as far as casting goes is where we put Janus. Morrigan for BennyQ, 3 games, 100% win rate, and Myth, I got to imagine there's some good transformation options for the Hounds mid.
There is, but it's not like that one transformation where it's a Morrigan Cthulhu or it's a Morrigan Daji. You don't have the single transformation that stands out above the rest. I think at various portions of the game, it'll probably be the Hercules if you need an initiator, if you're worried about the dive onto you. Maybe at others, if you're trying to rotate towards the team fight. Considering how far it is, could be Janus, could be Thor if it's a little bit closer. Otherwise, the Terra maybe in a late game team fight for a little bit of damage mitigation on your own side, but I was not expecting a Morrigan lock-in here for the Eldritch Hounds. When we see Nox, what every other team seems to do is just draft a lot of long-range artillery damage, the double hunters, the massive burst mages, just to follow up on that shadow lock. The Morrigan doesn't necessarily fit that role, but Cern and Thor with the additional lockdown, or maybe even a Serqet once she's full build, might be able to do it. But those have to get a little bit closer, which means that it'll be a bit sticky of a situation for the Eldritch Hounds. Whereas the Camelot Kings, I mean, their composition top to bottom, I mean, this is just what the Kings have been doing for as long as the Kings have been doing.
And what is it?
Standard. Just a standard comp. That's SMITE. That's the 101 right there.
And say I've never played SMITE before. What does this comp want to do?
Group up as 5 in the late game, preferably from ahead or from even, and play as a team. You know, it's a standard front-to-back composition. You got your front line of Terra and Hercules to start things off. The back line largely self-sufficient, and then Rat acting as a solo agent.
Do they have the ability to do those early objectives, though, that we know the Camelot Kings like to do?
I'm not so certain with a draft like this. I mean, get your kills. Obviously, the objectives will follow suit. It's not as if this is a composition that is designed purely to play around objective, and they haven't got the best secure either. But one of the strengths of standard, these all-rounder compositions, is that given the right circumstances, they can kind of make it happen regardless.
Right. Look, the Eldritch Hounds, what we saw in Game 1 is what we've seen a lot of from the Eldritch Hounds in the games that we've seen them play in the SPL so far, and it's they can find their picks, can't turn that into objectives, towers, dominance across the map. They've been able to do so at times so far this year, have not been able to turn that into a set win just yet. However, have been able to win a game so far. Camelot Kings, it's a tough ask. I suppose you're hoping Thor, Morrigan, Serqet, Cern, and Nox is the magic formula that gets it done. We'll find out if we got another Game 3 today, or the Camelot Kings continue their win streak in Game 2.
The Eldritch Hounds have got to stop the Camelot Kings here if they want a chance to bring themselves an opportunity to win their first set of the phase. The Camelot Kings, at least in game number 1, proved to be too tall of a task for the Eldritch Hounds. It's J-Mac, Charlie, and Doug back for game number 2. And Charlie, if we thought the composition of the Hounds was a bit scrappy in game number 1, to me it really feels like the Hounds have drafted maybe one that's even scrappier to fight up against the Kings now.
They have options. I think that the double Thor, or I guess in this case, could be a Thor and a Ratatoskr, could provide some nice gank opportunities late game. Could just turn into Jarcorrr if you don't want to miss that ultimate and you still want to have that amount of global presence. I think BennyQ has a lot of different options as highlighted on the desk just to make this Morrigan pick as valuable as possible. It does depend, though, how aggressive you can be in the early game, considering, you know, CaptainTwig is on the Ratatoskr. Doesn't have Blink, though. Too fearful of Oathh's damage. Recognizes how much Serqet can get active in the early, and because of that, is just going to get the beads, meaning it doesn't seem like BigManTingz and CaptainTwig want to fight early. That 2v2 definitely goes the way of BennyQ and Oathhh as long as Oathhh is on point, you know, making sure to land that CC. But that's usually how the Serqet is played, so probably smart that CaptainTwig is just forfeiting a bit of that pressure and possibly using the level 5. You know, that's probably when the Ratatoskr is going to come online and start looking towards solo and that sort of thing. But, you know, the duo lane doesn't seem like there's too much kill potential for either one of these teams. Once, you know, I do like the Nox level 2. It's got opportunities to find some beads early on. Genetics has Sunder, but CaptainTwig doesn't have Blink and gets aggressive anyways.
And at 100 HP, he dashes in, stuns Oathhh just for the flair of it, I guess. Able to walk out, even despite how low CaptainTwig had gotten. Camelot Kings playing a little bit aggressive early. Ducky actually forced back to base at level 1, level 2, I should say, right on first main wave. Is able to buy a Chalice on his back, but will now be pushed away from another wave by Variety, who's been able to get so much farm. Ducky fighting back in, but Variety's got a pretty sizable wave for Ducky to have to deal with as well, so maybe not as much fighting as Ducky would like to have in this lane.
Yeah, I'm thinking he wants to have no fighting in this lane. Thor versus Hercules is not fun. Sunder is starting to add up there. VaporishCoast is going to take a good bit of damage. Jarcorrr can't really get towards that Cernunnos though in the backline, so no kill will come through just yet. But junglers, you saw, went towards the right lane for a bit, but now Oathhh is just sort of sitting around mid. I want to see when that blink gets used. You know, when I see a Serqet, I imagine that's going to be used before level 5. BigManTingz uses the portal, though. This could be what Oathhh is looking for.
Oathhh goes in, finds a taunt, gets the beads away from BMT. Deathbane right through. BennyQ chasing him down. A lot of damage from that Dark Omen pop. Benny cannot land the stun afterwards, just not fast enough, and BMT gets his portal back just in time to run back to the solo lane, but Oathhh is going to make sure that BMT can't go back to lane.
Yep, Oathhh followed him the whole way. No lazy backs coming through. Going to go all the way underneath the solo lane tower. But Oathhh did use the blink. That's what I was looking for. So now beats down for another 2 minutes. Means that BMT not only has to worry about this Serqet now, but when BennyQ hits level 5, could be looking for a solo kill opportunity. Good damage though. Look, both junglers are here. Variety and Ducky falling weak, but Twig is going to go on to Oathhh.
Oh no, Oathhh jumps in, gets pushed back by Variety. Because CaptainTwig used his dash to go aggressive against Oathhh. Didn't have the chase after, but Variety with the fast bailout. Ducky with a wall. CaptainTwig just standing there saying, sir, can you please remove this wall? I have a buff to steal. As Twig and Variety move in towards the blue buff, nothing that Ducky can do to keep that one from being stolen away.
Yep, tried to hammer. Not going to confirm anything, and Variety doesn't even pick it up. So the buff goes down, and at what cost? BennyQ knows those beads are down and is going to mark BigManTingz, but I'm thinking for the next 90 seconds, Tingz isn't going to put himself out any trouble. Whenever he doesn't know where the Morrigan's at, whenever he doesn't know where Oathhh is, underneath tower or behind it, right? You shouldn't be getting ganked anytime soon. Man, you've got through space and time, so once you hear that stun, you can start channeling it. I think Tingz will be just fine now. He's been able to get that CC immunity. and it's just going to be able to clear the wave with that conduit gem, you know, from a good distance. So the Janus should be just fine. It's all about the junglers now for now, because again, we already highlighted the dual lane doesn't seem too aggressive here. Genetics goes for the Sunder to serve some extra poke, and Quig has that horrific emblem, trying to pull beads whenever possible. But the junglers have only really tried to get active over on the right side of the map and mid. That duo lane has been relatively barren so far.
Nobody really wanted to fight in the left, and I'll be honest with you, I see a Nox or a Terra, no matter which team I'm on. I don't know if I'm probably ever going to that lane anytime soon. If I'm the Hunters, I'm even trying to say, hey, can y'all leave so we can actually, you know, maybe get something done in this lane, but...
Look at Twig's Acorn. That is not what I expected.
Is that the crit Acorn?
That is the crit dash Acorn. I just talked to Adapting about this, and I was like, is this, like, crit's good in the meta? Is Bristlebush good? He's like, it seems like it would be, but no. Like, he's like, when you dash in, if you don't get that kill, you're probably getting turned on, which I think is a fair assessment, but Twig is arguing with this purchase that he is going to get that kill. He's going to dash in, get the kill, and then get out. If you don't get the kill, you've used your escape, and you are just in there, so... Expect to see some interesting gameplay here from CaptainTwig on the crit Ratatoskr. Trying to out-damage Oathhh. I mean, trying to match that presence. Let's see if he gets any lucky crits here on a Ducky.
Oh, there's one. Ducky does throw out a wall. Ducky forced to the sky. CaptainTwig not going to chase. Wow, almost goes down there.
One more crit and he's gone.
Just barely. Man, if CaptainTwig would have crit twice, might have been there, but it's only the one, at least that we got to see. The one. Ducky will be able to teleport back. Persistent teleport now finished up.
He pulled him off the wall.
Ducky has not even been able to go back and finish the item, but he doesn't need to when Variety's just going to stand by and get CC chained by Ducky and Oathhh. I mean, it's a first blood for the Hounds.
Variety took a tower shot just to pull Ducky off of the teleport. Realized, hey, this guy's got no beads. All he has is a chalice. I can poke him out. Unfortunately, what he didn't realize was that Oathhh was sitting right in the jungle, ready to follow up on that play. So driving strike down, that's about as easy as a gank as it comes. But, oh my goodness. The farm game of Janus. He's got 800 in hand. He's already got that Chronos pen. He's going to continue farming. This is what I love to see on a Janus, though. If you're going to continue, I mean, he's got 100 XP over BennyQ as it stands. Wow. You just want to be running to farm, use your threshold, more farm, and it's almost never fighting. If you see something you have to ult towards, yeah, you're going to send it. But look at him. He's on back camp respawn. He's got the double warding harpies, or wandering harpies, and he's just going to continue this farm up. I wouldn't be surprised if Tingz hits level 12 before anyone else and then just starts making his presence known. Until then, might as well just keep running to every camp you can find.
Now, send those snipes out, man. Just throw out this ultimate just for the sake of it. See if you tag anybody. Well, I guess Barracuda's not in the lobby, so you don't have a free target to hit with those ones.
If he's at home playing arena or something, he's going to get hit by
it. Bear's going to be playing a random arena game. No Janus, and all of a sudden a random snipe just pops out of nowhere and attacks him. Poor guy. It's just a Janus ult magnet, but we'll see what BMT is able to do on this Janus up against the Eldritch Hounds. As mentioned already, pulling far ahead in the farm department as far as XP is concerned. The Camelot Kings, even going down first blood to the Eldritch Hounds, have been able to maintain an even gold state with them.
Of course.
I got a feel for Ducky, man. Like, he hasn't died yet. He's been ganked twice. He hasn't been able to finish up his Transcendence. He actually's elected to finish his starter and buy a chalice before getting his first full item.
Yeah, what can he do at that point, right? He upgraded the relic. CaptainTwig, though, has to beads. I was going to say, are you going to go for the ult when your team's coming in like this? Yeah, you might as well.
Dunk back in on top of Coast. The spin is there, and the damage from Yark is enough. The Camelot Kings turn a bad situation into a good one, BMT. Portal through the wall.
He's going for it.
Fine. Throws out the ultimate. And now dunk back in place by BennyQ.
He either thought, A, there was no way he was going to get the kill, or B, that was a misclick. I have no way of knowing. But that was a good attempt at a kill. I mean, you knew the portal was down for a bit. Tingz was marked.
I spared his life. That's what Benny would say.
Yeah, you know what?
I gave him a freebie.
I was limit testing.
Yeah.
How many kills can I get and then not go for? It was still a 50-50, but Oathhh blinks in, trying to go for Jarcorrr. Not taking too much damage. That's shield buff. Getting its money's worth. Jarcorrr was going to be just fine. Oathhh wastes the blink. And that's going to be the end of that engage.
No lucky crits there from Oathhh this time around. Try and take down Jarcorrr. Does get about a third, nearly half his HP. CaptainTwig Oh, I thought Ducky was going to let that hammer double tap. That would have put Twig in a really precarious position, but maybe Ducky's sparing CaptainTwig life bar by not sticking with the double tap.
He didn't want to risk the crits.
Ah, true. The what is it, 25% that the Acorn gives just naturally? Yeah, you know what? Got to make sure to play around the crit, and Ducky's doing just that.
Yep, and that makes sense to me. You got to watch out once CaptainTwig shows up to this lane, because remember, Ducky is he's full damage, right? He's an assassin at the moment. Transcendence, and he's a Thor. You're not matching that defense level that Variety has, but Quig and Oathhh are on the way. They see a Hercules. They're interested in trying to gank. Variety's not going to let it happen. And Coast has done a lot of damage over this tier 1 tower over on the left. But respects and has a ward, so he knows Genetics is nearby. And he's going to run under his own tier 1 tower to make sure he's not giving himself up to a gank.
Yark will just be able to start working on the bastions while Genetics roams through the jungle, searching for any hint of farm that he can steal away from the Eldritch Hounds. Not much to be had. Maybe a wandering harpy is about all that's around at this point. So instead, Yark will head towards shield buff. No eyes towards the Gold Fury just yet. Pyromancer has not spawned in either for any team to really go for this early on. Still about a 40-50 XP lead per minute at least for BigManTingz. A little bit of resource spent on the left side, but quick beads by VaporishCoast gets him out. I'm going to keep an eye on BMT, level 12 at 10 minutes in the game. Nobody's keeping up with the pace of this Janus farm.
Nope, and as they probably should. I mean, you just have so much freedom there. CaptainTwig is going to take the ultimate here. Doesn't seem to be in too much danger. And it looks like Jarcorrr actually is going to fly in here, but Ducky makes the teleport. He's in the sky.
Ducky dunks down, only finds Genetics there. Will get rooted out and silenced through, but Yark's autos are too much. And the Janus ult from downtown. Yark picks up the double kill. BMT setting up for a squad. A portal on top of Quig, who will stand for the triple kill for Jarcorrr. The Camelot Kings in one fell swoop have knocked 3 off the map and go straight for the Gold Fury.
And that just feels awful. Ducky teleported in to give Yark a triple. That's what happened. I mean, the ultimate's off the mark. He doesn't have beads. He's a full damage Thor. Again, he doesn't have that survivability. The lockdown comes through, and he's going to fall down. And now this Chernobog is going to be a threat. So far, has Demon Blade, but it should be able to go back to base and purchase even more crit. Or I guess just half of an item, but he'll eventually look towards more. And that is going to start swinging. Beautiful through space and time there from BigManTingz, showing this Janus. It still does have immense value if you can line up that ultimate, if you can find, you know, the movement and the amount of burst damage in his kit. That Janus pick still can do big things. The only issue, however, is that all 4 kills are in Jarcorr's backpack at the moment. If you're getting a shutdown onto the Chernobog, if Oathhh is able to go over there, BennyQ makes a rotation, could be massive. A shutdown here would be pretty big for the Eldritch Hounds.
CaptainTwig investing in more crit. Bladed Boomerang picked up for the Ratatoskr. And we've been seeing pop up a little bit in the Assassin God pool, and we see things like Nemesis, Mercury, some of the more auto-attack centric ones picked up, but more crit for the crit Ratatoskr. See how far and maybe how much crit CaptainTwig invests into his build. BMT caught out by Quig, but a portal in. BMT is unconcerned and sets an ultimate on top of Variety. As Quig throws out the death ball, jumps inside BennyQ for a quick taxi ride out. But BMT throws down the threshold. Variety, he is zooming to find somebody, but it's caught in place by Quig, so cannot go for the pickup push combo. Instead, the Camelot Kings, CaptainTwig gets caught out by Oathhh inside the jungle. That'll be a pick on to CaptainTwig. Variety trying to punish Oathhh for what's been done, but Ducky there for the bailout. Boulder on top, not enough, and so it takes BMT and then through space and time to drop him down. Portal through, BMT will rejoin the fight as Ducky escapes.
Yeah, Ducky's out. Looks like the rotation in. Jarcorrr is going to start on this Pyromancer because he was able to ult in. Objective-wise, definitely goes in favor of the Camelot Kings. And you're taking that trade, CaptainTwig for Oathhh. Beautiful CC there, and BigManTingz able to clean up that kill. So now not all of the kills on the Camelot Kings side of the map are on Jarcorrr, spreading it out a bit. But this Janus has been in the right place at the right time, using that movement for the team, and also that ultimate is doing so much damage. I mean, he was low, of course, thanks to the boulder from Variety. But the ultimate damage still on point. When you're level 15, Janus at 13 minutes, that burst is going to show, whether that's through the Unstable Vortex or the ultimate through space and time. But Primal Fury should be up soon, J-Mac. I expect more grouping on the left side of the map. Ducky now has beads, so those Anvil of Dawns can actually make a difference. And CaptainTwig focused out again.
Gets up to the sky before the Omen gets popped by the stun. Goes back in with Genetics and another Janus ult from downtown once more. BMT connects with a member of the Eldritch Hounds. Doesn't get the kill, but definitely credit to assisting there. BennyQ stun on the BMT. Variety misses the push, misses the pickup. He's got the boulder though, and BMT plus one more auto from Variety will net an extra kill, and it's a double for CaptainTwig as well, who found a chase in the back line.
8-2 in favor of the Camelot Kings. Beautiful rotation in. It was not Ducky. I said he could make the rotation. It was Variety that ends up making that rotation. And CaptainTwig going back in on the ultimate after getting aggressed upon. Right on point. That knockup was all BigManTingz needed. And his ultimate is already back up. He has so much CDR. This Janus is ready to fight. Ducky does have good damage. Could find a 1v1 here.
CaptainTwig needs more than just a crit to take him down. He's got to have some good juke boots to escape. Dunk off the mark by Ducky. CaptainTwig waiting for the dash, but he doesn't get it. Back in time. The hammer is good. Yark crashes back in, but BennyQ joins in as a Chernobog of his own. And BMT there with a portal just in case. CaptainTwig falls. Third kill for the Eldritch Hounds, and a much-needed one to slow down the Kings.
Yeah, this is where that Thor pick really does benefit. Again, you're not going to have the tank stats in the back line, but you're going to be able to do good damage if you catch an assassin like Twig in the middle of the jungle. You can go for plays like that and take that 1v1. Beautiful ultimate. Beautiful kill there for Ducky. And because BennyQ was able to cover the option, Jarcorrr flying in was not enough to put down the Thor. But that Primal Fury is back up now. So the Camelot Kings with CaptainTwig spawning in should be able to put some pressure over on the left side of the map. But Ducky is still over here, looking towards tier 2. Will CaptainTwig go to stop him is the question. All the while, Variety is here getting chain stunned, but you wouldn't be able to tell looking at his health bar.
Pop that heal right before. Crits for CaptainTwig. Needs another little bit of damage. Nope, never mind. BMT will clothesline Ducky on Ducky's path out. The Eldritch Hounds lose out on their soul laner for a bit. Camelot Kings, where will they go next? Fury is back up. Pyromancer less than a minute out. Don't think Fire Giant's on the table just yet, but with a 4,000 gold and 5,500 XP lead. The Camelot Kings, maybe an uncharacteristic early start for this team.
J-Mac, I'm going to ask you if you remember, as VaporishCoast takes a bunch of damage here. It looks like the chase down will ensue. The boulder a little bit off the mark, so should be fine, but the crits coming from Jarcorrr might be enough.
Sunder, one more hit. Variety doesn't get it. Aegis, no, it's Jarcorrr with a crystallized curse to throw on the floor. Put Vaporish down for another 35 seconds. The Camelot Kings are just running across this map. Jarcorrr going to hold back Ducky, who will go up to the sky, but Ducky's not very tanky. Will he land back in because BennyQ has joined the fray? Dunk in from Ducky just off the mark and said he's stunned on landing. Pushback by Variety, and CaptainTwig returns the favor. The Camelot Kings now with 11 kills. And a Primal Fury after. Now, Charlie, I'll let you ask the questions you're going to get to.
Well, my new question is, why did Ducky land on the stun?
That I can't answer.
Okay, thanks. That's number one. Number two, I got to know if you remember the quickest level 20.
Night in September.
No, not that. That too, thank you. But do you remember Blues Ultra had a graphic for us that showed the quickest level 20? I believe it was 19 minutes. Do you remember who got the quickest level 20? I don't. I know that BigManTingz is on pace to beat it because he's level 19 and 17. I think it was Panatom, actually. I answered my own question.
There you go.
It was 20 at like 19-something minutes. BigManTingz may be able to beat that record. Level 19 currently at 17:48.
If you had Goremizer here, he'd have that answer for you, no problem. Unfortunately, I don't have that answer immediately to you, Trelly. Somebody will have the answer, though, for, well, not Coast. His answer is just accept your fate at this point because it's a full rotation across the map. There is never an even fight with the Camelot Kings in the lead they have established so far. Nearly. Well, what's the... Doug, can we pull up XP needed for BigManTingz? How close is he to level 20? He's still... he's not that far. 625. I mean... What do you get on a wave at this? I'm not going to pretend I know the math of a minion wave.
It changes as well. So at this point, BigManTingz, I assume, needs like 2 waves. This Pyromancer might help him out. depending on where he wants to go. He's actually portaling in.
Goes aggressive against Quig. Close. 418. Just. Oh, he's going back immediately. All right, so he's not going to hit it by 19.
He needs to line up an ult.
Yeah, I'm about to say, ult the wave that's all the way up at tier 2. Do something. Come on, BigManTingz. No, he's not. All right, he's going to do the boring wave. There is a minion wave here, so it's some. Is it 20? No, so he got a Brute and 3 archers gave him 240 experience.
Yep, he needs that one more wave. Again, I don't know the exact timer, so should be hitting level 20 just about 1912 or so, which is pretty massive. That is good farming for a Janus. We'll have to check the photo finish to know if it was quicker than what I believe was Panatom.
Yeah, let's see what the fastest level 20 was by who and if he got picked up here. Quig surrounded by BMT and Genetics, not the 2 players you want to be.
Where's the ult? There it is.
Misses this time through. Quig throws out. No, Jarcorrr joins the fray, and CaptainTwig will take down Quig. BennyQ fighting back. But you can't out-crit the king himself, Jarcorrr. Unstoppable, 7-0 on the Chernobog. Boulder doesn't hit, but who cares because CaptainTwig can dunk right in with the rest of the squad. Misses out, and an Aegis from Coast keeps it alive. But BigManTingz with the unstable vortex. Jarcorrr shut down. Ducky goes up a couple of levels from that one, but shut down immediately right back after. Variety, credit to that kill. The Kings trade 4 for 1.
4 for 1 is the call. Oathhh is sitting around trying to defend this tier 2 tower. Don't think that's going to be possible. But the health bars are too low, so with Jarcorrr dead, I don't think the Camelot Kings go immediately for a Fire Giant. They're going to take away some farm. 15,000 XP just about. They're going to head back to base, then group up, and then we're definitely in Fire Giant territory. I don't think that's a stretch to say that given the game that the Camelot Kings have played thus far, they still have 2 tier 2 towers to grab, and they have this kind of gold lead. Absolutely absurd. Jarcorrr is spawning in. He's going to have Envenom Deathbringer, plenty of DPS. Yeah, I want to see maybe 1 or 2 waves cleared over and left from CaptainTwig, and then we should be ready to pull that Fire Giant. The Eldritch Hounds have to start thinking about how good their defense is underneath Phoenix, because stepping up seems like just death to anyone who's going to be caught at this Fire Giant pit.
0-0-11 for Genetics on the Terra, setting up for his team. 3-0-8 for BigManTingz. The only 2 still undying for the Kings in game number 2 against the Eldritch Hounds. You got an answer for me, Charlie?
I do have an answer for you. Barracuda,
okay.
19 minutes, 44 seconds on Izanami. First, quickest time to reach level 20. So I was just completely wrong. I thought it was Panatom.
So Bear on Iza, 1944.
Tings beat it by 30 seconds.
By 34 seconds,
yep.
BMT beats it on Janus. Wow, that's usually we see about like, a few seconds here or there, like 5 seconds or 3 or 4, but BMT just does it faster. Fire Giant for the Camelot Kings. Quig is here, but not going to step up to the might. Oh, it's a Janus ult from, I imagine that was BennyQ who just fired that one, trying to take it away. Does not do so. It is fire for the Camelot Kings, fury for the Eldritch Hounds. That's 1,000 damage that BMT is doing at 21 minutes on an objective. That is crazy.
It's a lot of damage.
That's a lot of damage.
Ducky is going to get chased down here. His ultimate is down. We'll see how long it takes and who's going to claim this kill, but Ducky should die. Whether that's... I'm going to imagine it's Tings just because he's got no Aegis, but it's going to take a few rotations of his unstable vortex to confirm this kill.
Portal through the wall. Jarcorrr is here. They're fighting for the kill. Yark's going to take it.
Yep.
Yark says, bro, I died. I was on a 7-kill streak. I need to start it back up. Number 8 for the world champion. BigManTingz will lead the charge for his team. Throws down a threshold. Is more than comfortable leading his team to victory right now. The Eldritch Hounds in a bit of a dire situation. 7,000 gold and climbing down. A Pyromancer will help out, but the Kings don't care about the Pyromancer. That's a tier 2 tower for them instead.
And I wouldn't mind the Phoenix as well. Variety's sitting by, seeing if he can find a pull. The portal is going to help him get to the back line. He is going to dish up, but the silence in the way. Quig at least covered his option.
Sunder from Variety. That's half of Coast HP. Just between Sunder and Boulder from Variety. Misses the pickup this time on Quig. But the Phoenix, the damage being done to it. It's going to take so long for the Hounds to recover. They got to keep the minions out at this point. Quig tries to, but he sacrifices his body to do so. Down in the portal. Ultimate from the Janus. There's 1,000 to BennyQ. BigManTingz is doing whatever he wants on this map. We see one fly from BennyQ, but now out of position. Jarcorrr goes up. VaporishCoast does only make it to the fountain because of the Aegis. The Hounds cannot defend Phoenix. They take out Twig, but taking Quig along with them and the Phoenix, the Camelot Kings will back away.
They are going to back away. Are they going to retreat is the call. Looks like minions, still something they're after. BigManTingz wants to take away this red buff. That's a smart look. I think the retreat is the call. Yeah, they're not going to go in for one more siege. CaptainTwig being lost is enough to get them to slow down, at least for now, the pace of this game. I want to see Tingz just go back to base, finish up that what seems to be a Soul Reaver, and then just send it down Main Street. I'm curious how much damage it'll do if it connects on some of these squishier targets. But Oathhh and Ducky, I thought they were going to go for a play here onto Variety, and then I realized how tanky Variety is at this point and understood why they probably didn't go for a call like that. Ducky still has been able to make some decent plays in the backline, but you know it's usually at the cost of his life, right? He hits an ultimate, does good damage, and then retreats. It is just so hard here for the Eldritch Hounds to defend underneath their base. These Phoenixes are dropping. Only one so far, but they've got enough wave cleared where that shouldn't matter too much until this next Fire Giant. And actually, the Hounds are stepping up. Ducky's here. Oathhh is here. Are they looking to defend this Fire Giant? Seems like it. There's no one clearing over and left.
Probably just stood there and says, "Is that all you got? That's all the damage that you have?" Ducky, Quig trying to team up. Variety's willing to fight the entire world, and he's going to bring the world to him, if anything. Portal from BMT repositions the mid laner. Variety is still not giving up his chase to anyone who's willing to go toe-to-toe with him, but no one on the Hounds will step up. It's a right side tier 2 tower after left Phoenix taken earlier on. The Camelot Kings have time to wait. Fire Giant still down for about another 10 seconds before the Camelot Kings can take that one off the map.
Ambush?
But a bit of a pincer maneuver maybe from the Eldritch Hounds. BennyQ
Oh.
and Oathhh standing around, but Jarc now spots it out with an ultimate. And that might just be the end of the attempt. And a call forward for the Camelot Kings. Sunder hits Quig. Variety pushes to get the bubble away. CaptainTwig is there to cut off the path. And Quig will go down not to the boulder, not to the dashes. Those are caught out. It's a dash by CaptainTwig at the end to seal his fate.
That's one. Good stun there from Ducky trying to cut off Genetics, but more so just going to slow him down as BennyQ is looking for an opportunity into this fight. The Morrigan has been in the back line, gets caught out by that ultimate from Jarcorrr. They didn't decide to go on him. They realized, hey, if we ult towards Benny, he's just going to turn to Janus and ult away. Ducky gets dished up in the beads, but Oathhh blinks in.
Blinks in, and beads is out. BennyQ still sticking by. Not sure if he's been spotted by any ward coverage of the Camelot Kings. The Kings, once Jarc went up in the air and realized, hey, the two of them are behind us. The other three are in front with their team so far away. The Camelot Kings dove in, took one, and a Fire Giant's boot. Now 5. All 5 of the Camelot Kings with fire around their waist. An extra Pyromancer for good measure. And a big crit from CaptainTwig. I think that's 1,000 damage that he did there. Now the Camelot Kings can reset. The Eldritch Hounds, Charlie, is this the Hail Mary moment? I mean, they're down 9,000 gold, down to Phoenix. Is this a bunker down and defend at the base, or try and catch somebody straggling in the jungle?
I think they still do have some opportunities to try and find a pick if BennyQ gets a good transformation off. You know, VaporishCoast has some decent shred, and Ducky has that ability to just stun the backline. It's not going to be easy to find an ambush, though. Anytime the Camelot Kings get a fishy feeling, Jarcorrr just goes up to the sky. He says, oh, we found them. They're all here, right? It doesn't take too much. Because Jarcorrr does not need his ultimate during a siege. What's the benefit of going up to the sky and flying back down? You get your cooldowns reset, sure, but if you're just auto-attacking a bird, it's not that big of a waste to have that ultimate down. So I don't think the Camelot Kings mind just using it as a ward check if they ever don't know exactly where the Eldritch Hounds are. But Genetics is already pushed in here. He's by himself because the rest of the team is pulling that Fury. Primal Fury goes down thanks to Twig and Tingz and Jarcorrr. And now a bit of a split push here as Variety's going to take a very minuscule amount of poke. It is already pretty much healed back up.
Yeah, we'll re-heal. Oathhh taunts him away from the rest of the team. Now the Eldritch Hounds on a base defense. VaporishCoast by himself. Gets some backup from BennyQ. But Jarcorrr and Genetics can just take this Phoenix with relative ease. Camelot Kings now group up towards the mid. Could be aiming for a full 5v5. Genetics going for the flank. between the now non-existent Phoenix and the mid. CaptainTwig so far back. Oathhh now saw him cross over on a ward, but Variety's stuck inside of the Phoenix. The Eldritch Hounds are delaying time, but Janek's gonna go in, finds out all four. BigManTingz eliminates Quig. Ultimate fire through just for good measure, but BennyQ does take down CaptainTwig. Ducky and the rest of the Hounds backing a little bit further away. One tap from BMT could spell disaster for anyone on the Eldritch Hounds, or a couple taps from the Boulder. Variety down to VaporishCoast. The Camelot Kings are sticking around a little too long.
Yeah, I think that CaptainTwig dying there was fine. He goes in very deep, you get the mid Phoenix, but unfortunately Variety saw the opportunity. BennyQ was lazy backing underneath the Phoenix. 1 HP essentially. That Boulder connection would have at least pulled an Aegis, but wasn't able to find it, and Oathhh goes massive there for the team. I think that whole play, the reason they are able to kill two is because of Oathhh. Quig, of course, sort of forfeits his life there to try and set up for the team, but the Serqet with the wraparound, good CC targeting, and still, the Serqet does plenty of damage when able to find that lockdown. You're still 2 Phoenixes down, and EFG is coming here shortly. But I think the Hounds are stepping up here, trying to see what they can find. It's just farm for now. But that might be all they're able to grab. BennyQ does have the option of turning into Tings and throwing that Janus ult towards fire. We saw it once. Wasn't able to go for a steal, but the gold lead is not so atrocious that an EFG steal wouldn't be massive here for the Hounds, right? I think they could, at the very least, stall and get these Phoenixes up if they're able to find it. It's just, have you seen Tings take damage at all? It's been Twig. Like, Twig is the target besides Twig. I mean, obviously, Variety's been getting in there, but this Janus has gone relatively unscathed. He is just pumping damage from the back line uncontested.
I mean, how do you even catch him at this point? This guy's...
He's very fast.
Fast? He can walk through walls?
Disappear and fly.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
It ties into the collab, unfortunately.
I'm gonna be 100% honest. In the immediate moment, I forgot the next lyric. Otherwise, I was gonna continue it with you.
It's probably best that you didn't, because they're actually stepping up the fight.
They are going with the fight now.
And it looks like the Hounds are looking for something, but BennyQ has to go back to base. He's the one who could have that global presence at any moment. So smart that the Morrigan is the one to clear these fire minions out. But the rest of the Hounds are here. They're gonna go for at least a soft defense for the enhanced fire giant. I'm thinking get some vision, tell Benny to turn into Janus and try your luck, but it's already about 70%.
Variety begging for the Eldritch Hounds to step up and try and stop this fire giant. It has been delayed, but Ducky can't even make it to the sky. No! The Boulder and Twig will take him out. Genetics roots tube and sends it for the squad, but BennyQ takes down Genetics by transforming into that Janus. Oathhh gets a shutdown on BMT. That's the callback that they need, but Twig has picked up a double kill of his own. Oathhh on the run. It's a 2 for 2 at the fire.
2 for 2. Oathhh is still around, but it looks like Fire Giant is still the call. Jarcorrr, I was going to say, really going to go back. It decides not to. Definitely the smart call. This EFG is for free. No one from the Hounds is going to be nearby, and plenty of crit damage to make sure this goes down. The question is, do you wait for your team? Doesn't seem like it. They're just going to grab Enhanced Fire Giant on 3. Jarcorrr is the most important. He's the one who's going to be taking these Phoenixes down, and now that Variety has it, he can frontline a bit harder. But BennyQ did turn into Janus, did ult in, and get some good damage off. Props to Oathhh for finding that damage as well to actually shut down BigManTingz. This Janus, like I said, has been free casting, and the Eldritch Hound said, I'm tired of it. We're going to get some damage off of this Janus. We lose the EFG, but you trade 2 for 2, and they're hunkering down once again underneath their birds, left side and mid Phoenix. Should be spawning in here shortly. It's all about a clutch defense now. Everyone's relatively full build. It's just Quig who's hurting a bit. He's missing 1 item, so should be able to supply a fair bit. But if you were wondering how Genetics was bursting people in the back line, he started building into damage. He got Rod of Tahuti, and he's going into even more so in that last item.
Variety versus the entirety of the Eldritch Hounds. He'll push one, sets up for the Boulder, and the tap by BMT, and Variety will take down BennyQ. VaporishCoast fighting as hard as he can, but he gets picked up by Variety once more. Genetics will go ahead and take that one down as another falls in the left side lane. It is only Oathhh and Ducky left alive. Sorry, it's only Ducky left alive. Never mind, I correct myself again. Oathhh able to slip on by, but BMT won't let it be for free. He'll continue chasing through that wall. Threshold to speed himself up. Oathhh turns around to try and go for the shot, but BMT just needs one hit to take him away. Will do so. Ducky left. The only one standing now for the Eldritch Hounds, and as soon as he lands, it is a stun from CaptainTwig, forced back to the fountain. The Camelot Kings, they play their food a bit at the end. Ducky loses half his health from an ult on BMT. The Titan will fall, and the Camelot Kings clean it up 2-0.
All of the Kings, get you a team that supports you like the Kings support Tings there. They all put their hands up and cheered when that Janus ult connected from downtown. Didn't do much damage, but at the very least, he was there for the end call. And I think that's what matters. A difficult one there for the Eldritch Hounds. The Camelot Kings, I think, were pretty much in control through the entirety of it. It was just a little bit of falling behind for CaptainTwig, but once he got the crit online, he was sort of just saying, hey, I'm going to dive in and you guys clean up. That's Twig's role more often than not in these games, but I think he's happy to do it, right? When the games look like that, if he's going to go through the cosmos, set up for a massive through space and time and die, setting up for his team, Twig's happy at the end of the day.
The old assassin kind of mindset there. I go in, I get one, even if I die. Hey, at least traded out one. A couple oftentimes where we did see CaptainTwig pick up a double kill, at least at the tail end of that fight. And the BMT just so hard to get to him, man. Between how fast he moved through the back line, between how slippery he was by going through those portals throughout all of it, and just the sheer amount of damage that he was doing, too. I mean, that was not the tankiest Thor in the world, but still doing over half of Ducky's health right at the very end of the game. The team cheering him on, and rightfully so. A strong performance for the Camelot Kings. They clean it up for game number 2. They get themselves the 2-0, and they stay undefeated. That's it for Charlie on the cast. Throw it to the desk to break it down.
That's right, and the Camelot Kings, I wasn't really reeling it in. I was moving it over. Yeah,
well, hold on. Mike is a professional, and he'll work with us. Mike, here we go.
Yep. Reel
That's a heavy one.
Oh, gotta bring it back. All right, yeah.
That's a heavy one. It
Yeah,
took you a
it's
minute
big.
to move that one. Get over there, Mike. Look, Camelot Kings, Myth, this one is a much more convincing. I don't know. Game 1 was pretty convincing.
I was convinced.
Let me phrase this one properly. This one, from start to finish, is all Camelot Kings. There is no moment in this game where it feels like, all right, Hounds are getting the early kills. Here's what they can build off of. This was micro play on top of also macro play.
They got the kills, they got the objectives, they got the neutral farm, they shoved waves into towers, they dealt with those towers, they got the fire giant. Most of their team fights were completely clean, and the ones that weren't, they traded 1 or 2 and had already gotten what they had come for. Top to bottom Camelot Kings game here. I mean, this is one-sided. There's not a whole lot to break down except for sitting here and singing the praises of the Camelot Kings.
I feel like
that's exactly what we'll do.
I feel like that's what happens sometimes, though, with Camelot Kings and their opponents, where game 1 tends to be a bit more contested.
Download complete in game 2.
It's like they wear you down, you know? Game 1's a long one. You're going 30-plus minutes. And then, you're right, download complete. Yark gets a triple early on in this game. And seriously, this type of composition, I think only like maybe a Horus instead of the Herc or the Terra makes this like even more terrifying, where like you're truly global in every aspect of the game. Because a team that wants to rotate anyway, and then having that just get made easier by a Janus, Chernobog, Ratatoskr. I mean, initiations, rotations, so simple. And this type of gameplay, Myth, is usually why we talk about Janus being an S tier as far as casting goes, especially when you get 2 of them, Morrigan on the other side. BigManTingz continues to show off some of that versatility, and the Camelot Kings, you know, with the caster predictions, we're feeling good about one side of things, right? The Kings up towards the top. We're going to ignore the rest of our predictions. But I'm at least still feeling good that I put the Kings towards the front to start off Season 10.
And I was impressed by individual play in this one as well. I mean, hard to say that, you know, we haven't got much data on a lot of these picks, so I'll just be impressed by the thing that we don't get to see too often, which was BigManTingz on this Janus. When the ults are hitting, that god looks good. And when the ults are hitting all the way across the map, that god looks real good. And they were hitting all the way across the map consistently. BMT always found the damage.
29,000 damage for BigManTingz here in game number 2. Look, it's one of those games that feels difficult to break down at times because it's mechanical decision-making differences early in the game and often. And as we've talked about, when you pile on a composition,
I'd argue draft diff as well.
Draft, right? A composition that can rotate just easier when you get a lead and a composition forces you to fight by being able to rotate. difficult for the Eldritch Hounds to really find their way back into that game. Camelot Kings, they continue their tear. And unfortunately for one member of the Kings, they're standing by for the post-game interview. Fortunately, it's with J-Mac.
Wait, what do you mean, unfortunately, standing by for an interview? Did you not want to come in for an interview, Yark?
Yeah, I want to.
All right.
See, Yark wants to be here for an interview. All good. Yark, first off, congrats on the win up against your opposition here. Now, talk to me a little about the Janus, because we saw yesterday when Leviathans brought out Shinto. Did BigManTingz kind of see Janus and go, I kind of want a shot at that, or is that just something he's just been wanting to bring out for a while?
I think we just practice a few picks on the week, and in Janus was one of those. So if there is like a good chance to have it, I think we have a really good combo for it. We have Bog with Janus. I think that's really good combo. So yeah.
Yeah, just kind of an annoying team really to go up against. A lot of fun to watch. The shots that BMT was hitting, the damage that you were doing out there. I mean, a 7-0 to kind of start this game out. Yark, kind of maybe give you your opinions on your team. Let's say that Camelot Kings winning Worlds, you're sitting at a 10 on the 1 to 10 scale. Where would you say that your team is kind of right now on that same 1 to 10 scale? You still up there at that 10, maybe a little bit below, maybe above?
I think maybe a 7 will be fine.
7?
Yeah.
Not quite up to the Worlds there, but starting to kind of climb back up.
I think we are just playing our game, just trying to play as disciplined as we can. Try to play the map as we see how is the best way to play it. We're just taking every game differently and every set differently. I'm just trying our best, I think.
Looking pretty good doing so now. Yark, one final question for you, or at least one final little bit. Now, remember we did our SPL fantasy draft right at the start of the phase, and if I'm not mistaken, you were the first pick overall as voted by the community in Jordan. But after a performance like that, does that give you a nice little bit of confidence and maybe kind of solidifying that, yeah, you kind of deserve that first pick spot?
Not really. I think the confidence is always there. I think no matter good game, bad game, I think I'm just going confident in any game I will go. So.
Well, you look great in this game, Jarcorrr. Thanks, so much for coming in. Congratulations on the win and keeping up the undefeated record. That's it for us over here on the interview. Go to the desk to break it down.
Either fortunately or unfortunately for me and Chat, I'm playing against that community fantasy team this week. It's Dave versus Chat. Unfortunately for me, Chat and Jordan have Yark. Fortunately for me, I have CaptainTwig, so there's at least a little bit of balance out. A little give and take. A good set for anyone to have some of the Camelot Kings on their fantasy team. Myth, a long day of SMITE competitive action comes to a close. We had a 3-game set and a couple of 2-game sets, and one more day of SPL remains this weekend. Started off with that 3-game set, Jade Dragons over the Highland Ravens. That one a statement from the Dragons, beating a team in the Highland Ravens that felt like they were building up some real momentum, and I think still have an opportunity to do so. Ravens will be back in action tomorrow to end our week against the Styx Ferrymen. Leviathans and 2-0 the Gilded Gladiators, getting the Leviathans their first win of the year here in Season 10. And the Camelot Kings continue their win streak. And unfortunately, the Eldritch Hounds unable to find their first win in Season 10 of the SPL. The good news is, one of the Hounds or the Gilded Gladiators will be winning their first set of Season 10 of the SMITE Pro League tomorrow morning as those two teams face off. And so that set now of the utmost importance. A really fun one between the Oni Warriors and the Jade Dragons. Are the Jade Dragons the win streak killers? We will find out tomorrow in the middle of the day. And then Ravens v Ferrymen. And these matchups build in importance, Smith, when you consider the standings and where we are in the phase. Remember, we're about a third. I don't know exactly the math. About a third of the way
tomorrow,
done
a third
with Phase 1 of the SMITE Pro League here, and so standings a bit established. Of course, plenty of moving when all the teams are only a win or two away from one another. But as the matchups get fewer and fewer and the win streaks get bigger and bigger, it's going to be difficult to catch up with some of the teams in either of these regions. I want to focus in, unfortunately, on the bottom of either division, Myth. Eldritch Hounds, Gilded Gladiators, they're going to play in our first set of the day tomorrow.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of really good matchups coming up, Dave. In particular, and you would probably be able to guess which one I like the most. Which one? Which one tomorrow you think I'm most excited for?
Oni Warriors, Jade Dragons.
No.
Styx Ferrymen, Highland Ravens.
That's insane, Dave. I like the first set.
Why did you pivot away from it then?
What do you mean?
I said I want to focus on the bottom of the standings in our first match of the day tomorrow. Eldritch Hounds, Gilded Gladiators. And you said, Dave, there's a lot of really good SMITE to look forward to, but I bet you can't guess which one I'm most looking forward to. Certainly not the one you were just talking about. Why do you think I didn't guess which one it was, Smith? Tell me why, and then we're going to close the show. Why are you excited for that one?
You've been caught hook, line, and sinker, you fool.
Smite fans,
sedated you.
I need a Tylenol. I've been Dolson. That's been Myth1 on behalf of us, all the other casters, everyone back in production. Thanks for watching, and we will see you tomorrow.